ABC Wednesday, October 9th.
Y'all complain all day. We want books. We want paper towels in the classroom. Bet you want raises, too.
I'm still waiting on the paper towels.
Abbott Elementary returns with a new season.
We asked the district for more after-school programs. They gave us $50 for class pets instead.
Critics cheer. Abbott Elementary continues to be one of the funniest and most beloved shows on TV.
What y'all doing out there?
Taking bribes.
Proud of y'all.
Abbott Elementary, season premiere Wednesday, October 9th on ABC and stream on Hulu.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
But you say he's just a friend.
Oh, you're my best friend.
77 WABC.
Oi. Before we start this show, let me make it very, very clear. If you love me, Sid Rosenberg, and you love Sid and Friends in the morning, if you're with her, you are not with me.
Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. Go.
Breaking news right now. Sources telling the Associated Press that Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury, making him the first mayor in New York City history to face an indictment.
Rumors have been swirling that this was imminent following the federal raids on the homes of members of Mayor Adams' inner circle and the wave of high-level resignations from his administration.
It remains sealed, so it's unclear what charges Adams will face.
City Hall and Gracie Mansion, relatively quiet at the moment, but a different scene expected in the coming days in both venues when the mayor will have to enter a plea to the charges.
We have team coverage here for you. Political reporter Marcia Kramer has been working this story. Let's begin with Allie Bauman live outside Gracie Mansion. Allie, what's the scene there?
In a taped video message sent through his attorney, Mayor Adams is maintaining his innocence, though he doesn't specify what exactly he's being charged with. Adams said that he's been fighting injustices throughout his life and vowed to fight what he calls these injustices with every ounce of his strength and spirit.
It is now my belief that the federal government intends to charge me with crimes. If so, these charges will be entirely false, based on lies.
In a video statement Wednesday night, Mayor Eric Adams says he will fight back against the federal criminal charges.
I always knew that if I stood my ground for all of you, that I would be a target.
Please.
And a target I became.
Over the last few months, federal investigators have raided the homes and seized electronics from the mayor and many in his inner circle, including former NYPD Commissioner Edward Caban, who stepped down earlier this month.
So there's a traffic jam of investigations, subpoenas, searches, devices being seen. But this is the first thing we've seen that will actually result, we are told, in a charge being brought forth.
Earlier Wednesday, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez became the most prominent Democrat to call for the mayor to resign, posting on social media, the flood of resignations and vacancies are threatening government function. For the good of the city, he should resign. Adams shot back, penning in part for anyone who self-righteously claims people charged with serious crimes should not be in jail to now say that the second black mayor of New York should resign because of rumors and innuendo is the height of hypocrisy.
He's black?
Wednesday, the outgoing school's chancellor insisted his decision to retire in the middle of the academic year this December was made before federal agents raided his home, which the 62-year-old shares with fiancée First Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright and the home of his brother, Deputy Mayor for Public Safety Philip Banks.
David is my brother, and the Banks family are my family.
You got to go to jail.
I valued Phil, who rose to the level of being the highest ranking person in charge of the police department, patrol force.
The mayor is getting ahead of what's becoming a growing list of calls for his resignation, saying in the statement that he can understand why New Yorkers would be concerned that he can't continue to do the job while facing these accusations, but saying, quote, New Yorkers elected me to lead this city, so, quote, lead it, I will.
We're joined now by political reporter Marcia Kramer. A whole lot to go through here, Marcia. An angry, defiant mayor requesting an immediate trial. That's a stunning thing to do. What's going on there?
I think that he absolutely believes that he did nothing wrong. And you heard in his statement that he's going to fight this with every ounce of his strength and his spirit. And I think that he intends to try to prove that he did nothing wrong. The real question is, what are the charges and who else may be involved and what charged with as well?
He alluded to something else in that video statement. He believes he is being targeted.
Well, he believes, according to that statement, he believes that he was targeted by the Justice Department after he publicly attacked the immigration policies of the Biden administration. And I think that you can understand that some New Yorkers may believe that what he says is true because he did take a very strident stance against the president's immigration policy at a time when the president was running for re-election and really cared about that. And it was sort of interesting that the raid that was done on the home of his chief fundraiser, Breonna Suggs, was on the very morning that he was in Washington at the White House for a conference on immigration, and he had to turn around and come back. There's a nexus there.
He really feels he can beat this. He feels he fought immigration policies, and now he's being persecuted. He really feels he has a case.
Overstated. Well, here's the thing. Public corruption charges and cases are very difficult to prove, and even in cases where there's been convictions, like Joe Percoco, who was a top aide to Governor Cuomo, they are overturned. So he does feel he has a chance. And remember, if he fights it and he gets an immediate trial, I mean, I don't know how immediate it can be. Federal government takes a long time. But if he does, he might be able to even beat it, and he could conceivably run for re-election. Hard to believe, but he could.
My fellow New Yorkers, for months, leaks and rumors have been aimed at me in an attempt to undermine my credibility and paint me as guilty. Just this past week, they searched the home of our new police commissioner, looking for documents from 20 years ago, just 1 week after he joined my administration. Enough. I will fight these injustices with every ounce of my strength and my spirit. If I'm charged, I know I am innocent. I will request an immediate trial so the New Yorkers can hear the truth. New Yorkers know my story. They know where I come from. I have been fighting injustice my entire life. That fight has continued as your mayor. Despite our pleas, when the federal government did nothing as its broken immigration policies overloaded our shelter system with no relief, I put the people of New York before party and politics. Now, if I am charged, many may say I should resign because I cannot manage the city while fighting the case.
True.
I can also understand how everyday New Yorkers will be concerned that I cannot do my job while I face accusation. But I have been facing these lies for months since I began to speak out for all of you and their investigation started. Yet the city has continued to improve. Make no mistake.
What?
You elected me to lead this city, and lead it I will. I humbly ask for your prayers and your patience as we see this through. God bless you, and God bless the city of New York. Thank you.
Got that right. Especially right here in New York City as we start this huge Thursday morning show. This should be a very highly rated show. We do get ratings on a daily basis, weekly basis, minute basis, second basis. I can't imagine too many people are tuning into Boomer to find out how the Met game got rained out. But on this big day at 6:12 on your Thursday morning, when the very first ever sitting mayor of New York City is indicted, and we've got a boatload, a bevy of big-name guests. And the two biggest guests when it comes to this story, one by far, Curtis Sliwa, who I've been endorsing for a while now as the next mayor. And, look, we may have a special election. We'll talk about all these possibilities. You know, Jumaane Williams, who is a progressive nut job. I mean, one of the worst. He would take over if Adams was to resign or be removed by Hochul. I don't know. But there'll be an election in 2025 for mayor, and that election is going to be Cuomo versus Sliwa. And that's it. I don't want to hear about anything else. I'm right about everything on this show. Right or wrong, everything from Israel to Trump to last year's nonsense with DeSantis and Haley. All you know-it-alls, you know nothing. I've been more right than O'Reilly even. Don't let him hear me say that. He'll get crazy, but it's true. He was right about Biden stepping out. Otherwise, I'm kicking everybody's ass. It's going to be Sliwa versus Andrew Cuomo. Money in the bank. But before we get to that, it can be a whole big mess. A whole big mess. But we've got Sliwa and Sal Greco. Sal's great on this, too. 14 years as a New York cop. He feels he was unfairly removed, and he's got a hard-on for the city and this mayor. And he's been right about everything. I tell you what, I walk in this morning, and Frank Morano, he's going to come on today, too. He's very good with the city stuff, very good. He says his producer, I guess, aboard up, Matt Blazer, talking about what time they found out about these indictments last night, you know. I went for dinner at 5 o'clock yesterday to Harbor Lights, my good buddy Sean. And I went there because Danielle and I were going to watch the Yankee game and the Met game. The Mets ended up getting rained out because of the hurricane. I get a text from Sal Greco. They're about to indict the mayor. 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Nobody knew. Nobody. You know who knew? The folks close to the mayor. Because news trucks, New York Times, Politico, NBC, they all pulled up to Gracie Mansion. And Sal had people on the scene. And when those news trucks pull up to Gracie Mansion, that tells you we got something big going on. So I got a text before 5 o'clock that the mayor was about to be indicted. No one else knew. Nobody. You didn't know that, did you? Know him at 5 o'clock?
Not at 5 o'clock.
No.
How come you didn't call me?
Good question. You know why? I'll tell you why.
Why is that?
Because
I can tell you.
I'm going to tell you why. Because when my day is over, and my day is over at 10, 11, whatever, when I leave here, it's over. It's like the weekends. I get so many texts over the weekends. Curtis, he'll Saturday and Sunday, many, many others. Many. I don't answer. I just don't. Like I'm watching football. I'm with my family. This show, I put so much energy and heart into this show that when my 4 hours is done, I'm done. Now, I know what's going on. I'm keeping up. I do talk to Curtis quite a bit on a weekday basis and my friends in Israel, but I try to limit my conversations once the show is done, and I don't talk any politics on the weekends. I can't tell when people go, I emailed you this weekend. I tell you, yeah, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not doing it. I can't stand it after a while. I can't. You know, part of the reason why I talk about the Mets, the Yankees, the Jets, and the Giants is because I understand New York sports is a religion, and you can't get ratings if you don't talk sports. You'll get your 3.5s, your 4.0s. You'll never come close to 7s like me. But I also do it because I can't take this stuff all day, every day. Trump, Adams, Harris. It's horrible. Let's be honest. To quote Joe Boningo, it's too much. So I got to talk a little bit about Ava or Gabriel or the Giants and Cowboys tonight just to maintain my sanity. Does that make sense, Noam?
It makes a lot of sense.
So I knew about it 5 o'clock, but I also had to get confirmation. One thing about you, Noam, And this is why I believe you're the best news guy in New York. Well, that's a lot of reasons. First of all, your delivery is great. You got the best voice. I wish I had your voice. You're funny. You're great. And I tell Ben Maverick all the time at 10-10 wins, and I like Scott Stanford. Noam is the best news guy in the city. And one of the things you do very well, I'll give you credit, even dating back to the first Trump assassination attempt, is you do not run on the air with stuff unless it has been absolutely 1,000% fact. So I knew it at 5, but it hadn't happened yet.
Right.
So if I called you and said, look, I got a great source, he's indicted, you would have said, well, I got to wait till it happens, right?
I wouldn't necessarily have to wait till it happens, but I'd want more than one source.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Even though Sal Greco, in this case, Sal and Curtis, in the mayor thing, 2 best sources in the world. In the world. No one better. Nobody. Trust me. I've been getting text messages and emails from Sal for months. Every time somebody walked away, whether it was Eddie Caban, Zornberg, Vassan, Banks, he knew. He told me. He was the one who told me, my dear friend Michael Kemper, who no one talks about, but he was the chief of transit. Mike was a terrific, great cop, 30-plus years, great guy. Tomorrow, in fact, is his retirement party. At 1 pp, I'm invited. The greatest guy. He left. He started working for the MTA this week. He's done. No one is even talking about that. He knew about it. Sal knows all that, and so does Curtis. So both of those guys are going to be on today. I'm going to break it down. Now, Brian Kilmeade's going to be on. He's a Fox News guy. He's national, but he's all about New York. Well, he's all about New York. So he's going to be on today. And Bill O'Reilly's going to be on today. And Frank Morano. So we got a lot of guys covering this Mayor Adams mess that basically Noam started. And I say that because you were the one who told us that Brianna Suggs was raided months ago, and that was basically the beginning of the end.
And likely she'll be named today in this indictment, I would guess, anyway.
They should all go to jail. Eric Adams. I fought for this. First of all, how long have I been yelling about this? Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm wrong. Marsha Kramer. I love Marsha. Sweet lady. A legitimate legend here in New York. She's wrong. Stop already with Eric Adams fought the White House really hard. He did not. He never mentions Joe Biden's name. How many times have I complained that all I hear from Eric Adams is the federal government? That's not hard. Hard is, hey, Joe Biden, I'm not endorsing you. I'm not going to endorse Donald Trump. I'm a Democrat. But I'm not endorsing you because you've ruined this city. I can't handle this migrant crisis. That's a hard criticism. What did Eric Adams do, Marsha Kramer, just a couple of months ago? He publicly and enthusiastically, without any provocation, endorsed Joe Biden. How can you tell me he's been very tough on Biden when he endorsed him when he didn't have to? He did the same thing with Hochul. Bail reform, killing us. He goes to Albany. Stuart Cousins and Heastie slam the door in his face, treat him like a little bitch. He runs back to New York with his tail between his legs and gets nothing done. And then he tells us how great Kathy Hochul is and endorses her against Lee Zeldin. Don't endorse anybody. How about that? And now we're going to see what happens because Hochul can decide to remove him. So we're going to see Eric Adams and all his pandering and all his loyalty to the left. That's who he is. He's not about the city. He let those Jewish students rot at Columbia. Rot. He went to Rome. He couldn't care less. It's not about the city. He's about keeping the people on the left happy. Now we'll see if all the nice things he said about Hochul, she's my friend. Let's see if she removes him. Because that would really be a gut punch, wouldn't it? I'd love to see it. I'm not sure she will, she won't, but now she can do that. Can't she?
Yeah, the New York City Charter gives Governor Hochul the power to remove him if she decides to do that.
By the way, if he does resign, which he says he's not going to do, but who cares what he says? He can't trust him. If he does resign, or he is removed or suspended by the governor, as I mentioned earlier, that psycho Jumaane Williams takes over. then we're really in trouble. So sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for. You may hate Eric Adams, and I think Eric Adams has done a miserable job. Miserable. Every time he talks, he tells us how great he is. It's unbelievable. He's a horrible mayor. Horrible. But Jumaane Williams is up next, and if Jumaane Williams doesn't want to do it, which he will, of course he will, but let's say he doesn't want to do it, okay? You know who's in line next? The comptroller. That's scumbag Brad Lander. That's how it works. You go from Adams to Williams to Lander. You talk about a trio of shizzle. My God, Noam, what have you done to this city?
I mean, Jumaane's going to take the job. But
of course he is, yeah. Jumaane Williams. I mean, could you imagine? He's going to be the mayor of New York City, Jumaane Williams. I just can't make it up. Maybe they shouldn't indict Eric Adams. He sucks, but God. The other two could be worse.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Could it get worse?
Anybody got Maya Wiley's number? We got to take a break. We got a lot of guests coming up. We got, as I said, Brian Kilmeade. We got Alex Traiman live from Israel. Well, all this is going on in New York City. I'm leaving in literally 9 days for the most dangerous place in the world. It's getting more dangerous, Noam, every day, is it not?
It is. It's bad.
I mean, now they're going after Tel Aviv and Haifa, Jerusalem. It's not even, it's way up in the north and way down in the south. Now it's getting close to all-out war, yes?
Oh, I would say it's at that point already, right?
So I'm really brave. I'm like a real hero now, right?
Yeah. Is the wife telling you not to go? Or?
Of course, 10 times already. Even your wife told me not to go.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Traiman's coming up. We're going to talk to Frank Morano, Bill O'Reilly, Sal Greco, and Curtis Sliwa. A monster Thursday show. For the show that you've decided, the ratings say it, is the best show in New York. Thank you for that. And I'm not resigning. Not anytime soon. Sid Friends in the morning on a Thursday. Watching you.
I see you see me. But you blowing the line when you're making a scene. Oh, girl, you got to know what my head overlooks. The senses will show to my heart when it's watching full eyes. You can't escape my
entertaining and informative. This is Sid and Friends in the morning. 77 WABC.
Guest coverage of this big Eric Adams indictment with my buddy from Fox News and WABC, Brian Kilmeade. He'll be here in 15 minutes, and we get Curtis and Greco and Frank Morano, Bill O'Reilly, a whole slew of great guests. But we are in the midst of Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Yesterday, I had on my friend Sean Zimberg. Those guys are great. The Advanced Radiation Centers here in New York. And I had the opportunity to speak also to a very, very big doctor at Maimonides Hospital in Brooklyn, my old buddy there, Heshe Jorgenbaum. His name is David Silver. And we also talked about prostate cancer and my old friend Bernard, God rest his soul, miss him every day. So we'll play that quick conversation between me and the doctor, and then we'll come back with Brian Kilmeade and load you up on Eric Adams. We'll also talk about Trump was in North Carolina yesterday. Kamala was in Pittsburgh yesterday. Giants and Cowboys start week 4 of the NFL season tonight. Mets rained out in Atlanta, big hurricane. They've got 3 in Milwaukee. Then they go back to Atlanta to play 2 on Monday, the traditional doubleheader. And the Yankees got blown out by Baltimore again. They lost 9-7. They got killed. So we'll do all that. But first, here he is, big-time doctor at Maimonides Hospital, David Silver. Dr. David A. Silver is the director of the Division of Urology and the chief of urologic oncology. That's the Department of Surgery at Maimonides Health Center. I've known David for a lot of years. David, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you. Look, I'm only a couple years removed from losing my partner on air, my best friend at the time, the great Bernard McGurk. People still miss him to this day, obviously. He had prostate cancer. You know, had a very high PSA 2 years before he died. He didn't do much about it, and then we lost him. But the question is, who should be worried about prostate cancer? Bernie was 65, but who should be worried about prostate cancer?
Well, pretty much anybody who owns a prostate should be worried about prostate cancer, but particularly African-American and Caribbean-American men are at risk. Also, if you have a family history of prostate cancer, a first-degree relative with prostate cancer, you're considered higher risk.
All right, David, we see these cases all the time, obviously, and a lot of places do take care of this, but you guys seem to be the best. So why is it? Why should people go to Maimonides?
Well, people should come to our cancer center and specifically to our prostate program because we are at the forefront of some of the latest advances in prostate cancer diagnosis and treatment. You know, in the old days, the diagnosis of prostate cancer was the finger test. That was all we had. A lot of people were afraid of that.
Yeah, I know. But that's not the case anymore. Not just that, David Silver, but a lot of folks were also afraid of the side effects of treatment, things like incontinence, impotence. I mean, these are real issues. Remember, like you said, the techniques now, they minimize all these side effects, right?
Well, the truth is that we actually know now which patients to treat and which not to treat. And years ago, everybody was kind of treated the same. You know, you either had surgery for the whole prostate or radiation for the whole prostate. It turns out that people with low-grade, low-volume tumors that look non-aggressive under the microscope, those tumors don't kill people. And a lot of those people can be watched. Now, for people who do need treatment, who have the kind that are likely to progress and cause problems, it's not necessary in many cases to treat the entire prostate as we used to do. It is possible to do what's called focal therapy or treat just a portion of the prostate that has the tumor and leave the rest of the prostate alone. And that really markedly reduces the risk of problems with the urinary control and problems with the sexual function that people are so afraid of.
Hey, Dr. Silver, you know, most people usually travel to the city to get this done, but you guys are right there from my borough, where I'm from, Brooklyn. Go to maimo.org/cancer. That's MAIMO.org/cancer. And I think a lot of people in Brooklyn need to know that. You guys are right there in the world's greatest borough.
We are the only cancer center in Brooklyn and the only prostate center in Brooklyn. And so you're right. Maimo.org/cancer is where you need to be.
Go to maimo.org/cancer. That's MAIMO.org/cancer. You know, David, if God is good to me, I'll be 58 years old next April. And for most of my life, let's say, how old should you be to get these tests? Say 50 years old, 50, 55, 60. Now you talk to doctors, they go, I got news for you. Maybe 40. What is the right age for men?
I got to tell you, so the youngest patient I have with prostate cancer in my practice is 38.
Yeah.
And so it runs a spectrum. There are some people who get it very early and some people who get it later in life. And I got to tell you, by 90, almost everybody has prostate cancer. By 70, half of people have it. And it turns out that the vast majority of people aren't going to die from it. So who are the people who we need to check? These are people starting at age 50 on average, but at 45 when there's a family history, and at 40 for some people who have 2 or more relatives with prostate cancer.
David Silver, you're a great man. I know you very, very well. Maimonides is a terrific hospital. We love that place, too. Thank you so much for joining us today and shedding some light on a very important topic, prostate cancer. God bless you, Dr. David.
Be well. Thank you very much. It's great speaking to you.
-1 every time you place the bet. You're still damn good. No one's gotten to you yet. Every time they were sure that you caught, you were quicker than they thought. You just turn your back and walk. You always said cards will never do you wrong. The trick you said was never play the game too long. A gambler's share, the only risk that you would take, the only loss you could forsake, the only bluff you couldn't fake. And you're still the same. I caught up with you yesterday. Moving game to game.
This is Sid on Sports. Sponsored by Peerless Boilers on 77 WABC.
Justin Alec here with your bottom of the hour sports update, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com, paviliontankless.com. Find a dealer near you. They are the world's best built boilers. Start here on the diamond in the Bronx. Yankees failed to clinch the AL East once again with a 9-7 loss to the Orioles in the middle game of a 3-game series. Despite another home run from Aaron Judge, Yankee starter Marcus Stroman got dinged up early by the O's, who improved to 8-4 against New York with one matchup left in their season series. Judge went deep for the fourth game in a row, connecting on his major league leading 57th homer in a 4-run ninth inning. The 3-run shot off Matt Bowman upped Judge's career best total to 142 RBI, also most in the majors, and shaved New York's deficit to 9-7. That's where it would stay. Juan Soto also homered and knocked in 3 runs for New York, which could have wrapped up the AL East race with a victory over the Orioles either of the last 2 nights. Anthony Volpe had an RBI single as well. Baltimore moved within 4 games of the Yankees in the division standings with 4 remaining. Stroman was a late replacement for injured left-hander Nestor Cortez and gave up 6 straight singles to begin the game, several of them not hit very hard, and his defense clearly wasn't ready to play baseball as the Orioles grabbed an early 3-0 lead. Cortez had been scheduled to start, but he was scratched and placed on the 15-day injured list with a flexor strain in his pitching elbow. He and the Yankees are holding out some hope that he could return at some point in the postseason, but that does not sound likely. Up next for the Yanks is another opportunity to clinch the division with a win against Baltimore tonight. It'll be the ace, Garrett Cole, getting the start for the finale of this 3-game set from the stadium. That's why you go out and get a Cy Young Award winner. First pitch is scheduled for 7:05 p.m. The Yankees also now sit just a half game above the Cleveland Guardians for the 1 seed in the American League, which would give them home field advantage throughout the playoffs. In Atlanta, the Mets and Braves were washed out as we thought they would be, meaning the final 2 games of this crucial series will be played as a doubleheader come Monday, the day after the regular season was set to end and a day before the playoffs officially begin with the best of 3 wildcard round. The Mets are now scheduled to return to Atlanta on Monday for a pair of games 40 minutes apart that could determine who heads to those playoffs the very next day. New York plays 3 games in Milwaukee against the NL Central champion Brewers beginning Friday, while the Braves have a weekend series against the KC Royals, a playoff contender in the AL. After Arizona's win last night, the Mets sit tied with the D-backs now for the NL's second wildcard position, while Atlanta lingers just a game behind. Finally, it is Thursday, which means week 4 of the NFL season set to get underway tonight with Thursday Night Football. After the Jets pounded the Pats last week, things remain local at MetLife Stadium this week, with the Giants primed to welcome in the division rival Dallas Cowboys. Both teams enter with 1-2 overall records so far this season, but it's the Cowboys who enter with the upper hand as 6-point road favorites. Kickoff for MetLife is scheduled for 8:15. Sports sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com, paviliontankless.com. Find a dealer near you. They are the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Alec on 77 WABC.
Sid and Friends in the morning. 77 WABC.
So tomorrow, We're going to do this number one rated by a mile, by the way. By a mile. The last 2 weeklies came out. It's a joke. But we're doing the show live from my buddy Frankie Brusco's restaurant over Easy in Holmdel, New Jersey. A whole bunch of Jersey folks are showing up, but my 8:15 guest tomorrow morning is Tommy Lahren. So Tommy was on with me on Brian Kilmeade's great show, One Nation, 2 Saturday nights ago. We did a roundtable with Brian, and she was great, and I was great, and she contacted me right away, her people, and she's going to come on tomorrow. They did a whole story in Barrett Media this week, Kilmeade pumping up Tommy Lahren. So before we get to Adams and the rest of this stuff, Lahren's on tomorrow because of you. You love Tommy Lahren, so do I. So thank you for that relationship, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, she's really promising, great personal story. Left the West Coast, took a lot of crap when she was out there, literally being threatened. Comes out to Nashville, couldn't be happier, now host on Outkick. And I think she's somebody, here's what you appreciate, Sid, is that, it's so easy to call somebody up who wants Donald Trump to win and say positive things about Trump. So easy to get a hold of somebody who says, I'm a Democrat through and through, and I'm going to pretend that Kamala Harris is a fantastic candidate and that Joe Biden isn't too old. And we see it. And the minute you and I hear this, because we're so into politics, we tune out. But then when Tommy comes on, and I don't spend the whole time talking about it, but she just says, well, Joe Biden's going to drop out. She nailed that. And she says, number 2, Trump has got to start moderating his message. Young women are a problem. Suburban housewives are an issue. And this is what they're hearing. And this is what my friends say. And that's what I appreciate. Because you and I listen to so much talk radio.
Yeah.
We become very discerning. Like, first off, I don't know if I'm speaking for you, but the reason why we like it is because we listen to it.
Yep.
And we listen to it so much instead of music. Then you said, I'd love to do that for a living. And I remember Bob Grant was on, and I go, this guy is so compelling. He's angry, but he's so compelling. I just stopped listening to music, and when him and Rush came on, and then went from sports radio to this.
Well, it is a bit much for me, and that's why, and I think the reason why this show is so successful is we're going to talk today about the Mets getting rained out in Atlanta and moving from Milwaukee to a 2-game set against the Braves on Monday for their playoff lives. We're going to talk about the Yankees looking terrible the last 2 days against the Orioles. We're going to talk about the Giants and the Cowboys tonight. But we are also going to talk about Trump in North Carolina and Kamala in Pittsburgh. But the big story everybody's talking about in New York, quite frankly, across the country, is our mayor. Now, you know, Brian, that he and I became friendly. I'm even going to say very friendly. Lunches, dinners, late-night drinks, conversations, text messages. I stopped it all. I stopped it about 5 months ago because I was so angry with the way he handled the Columbia University situation with the Jews. Because like I said then, I'll say it again, if that was a Ku Klux Klan on the lawn threatening black kids, he would not have waited 13 days for the president to call to help out the students. He don't care about the Jews. He takes big money at Gracie Mansion, Jewish Heritage Month, but he doesn't care. So he lost me then. In fact, he even went to Rome that trip. So that's it. I'm done with him. And I see what's going on in and around him. And he's going to blame Joe Biden because he badmouthed Joe about immigration. He's going to blame white people. I'm a black person. Look what they're doing to me. But the truth is, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. You surrounded yourself with a bunch of scumbags. And quite frankly, allegedly, you broke the law. That's not white man's fault. That's not Joe Biden's fault. That's your fault.
Look, he doesn't text me. I see him twice. I've seen him 3 times. At the Al Smith dinner. Every time he pledges, I use your name. I'm friends with Sid. I'm on WABC. Yeah, I know. And he pretends to listen. Right. And then I just said, I'd love to get you on. I'd love to get you on. You know, I know you're on WABC all the time. I'd love to get you on Fox on TV. You're so close. You're right around us. You have a lot of issues, have nothing to do with politics. People love to hear from him. Crime, it's rage. Brian, doing it. Fabian, get over here. We've got to do this thing, right? We're going to do it right, both times. And then I go for Fabian. Yeah, we're about to. Let me get back to you. Are you going to be around? And the years pass. So 3 years have passed. But he's so much better than de Blasio, number one. At least
no, he's not. No, he's not. He's not.
He's better than de Blasio? The guy that slept till noon with the
I
paper
don't
on
care.
his face?
First of all, if you want to say he's better, that's fine. He's not so much better. The crime is not better. Murders are down, but rapes are up. Assault and battery is up. These pro-Hamas people run the streets. There's as many homeless and dirt on the street as there was before. And again, I'll say it. If your barometer, Brian, quite frankly, is if he's better than de Blasio, then he's pretty good. I don't want to hear that anymore. If he is better than de Blasio, he's not nearly good enough or significantly
better.
better.
Open to this, Sid, so you might be the foremost expert on this, so I'm not challenging, but I just want you to answer this question. If it is just key, and you cut red tape to move their building or expedited fire inspections, and if there is a deposit from the Turkish government for doing that is wrong, you act as a foreign agent, I'm fine with that. Okay, that's how you're going to indict?
No.
First time in history?
We've had this.
But if it's much bigger?
It is much bigger.
If it's much bigger?
It is. We've had this conversation before. There are now 6 countries. I've known about Red China. He can't even answer how many times he's been there. I'll tell you how many times. Somewhere between 6 and 9. What is the mayor of New York City doing hanging out in Red China? What is the police commissioner doing in Qatar right after October the 7th? Why does he have dealings with Uzbekistan and South Korea? There are 6 countries involved now. It's not just about Turkey. Everybody around him, all the Banks brothers, all the Kaban brothers outside of Eddie, they're all crooked. Let's stop with this one Turkish thing, which, by the way, is probably worse than you're even presenting it. There's a lot going on here, Brian, and it's not just because he was somewhat critical. He wasn't over the top. He never even mentioned Joe Biden's name. He referred to himself even 6 months ago as the Biden of Brooklyn. So it's very easy to pass it off. Oh, no, it's like Trump. Biden's made out of. This guy's surrounded by criminals, and he's involved with 6 countries, Brian, at the very least.
All right. If it tomorrow, it is as damning as everything. I'm just leaving open that New York and the feds mad at him for asking for money for illegal immigrants, angry that they dumped 250,000 here, which I am. You are. I appreciated him actually saying it. Do you see the mayor of Illinois, the mayor of Chicago or the governor of Illinois complaining to Biden? You know,
no, but here's the difference. But here's the difference. But here's the difference, Brian. Here's the difference, Brian. They win. Wow. Eric Adams' approval rating is down to 28% because both Republicans and Democrats are sick of the illegals, which you call migrants. So he was desperate, Eric Adams. And he wasn't nearly strong enough in his quote-unquote criticism of the White House. And when he had the chance to talk to the black mayors in D.C., he had to hop on a plane because the FBI raided Suggs' office. He wasn't all that critical. He wasn't out there every day saying, Biden is killing me. In fact, just a couple of months ago, before Biden dropped out, without any provocation, he enthusiastically endorsed Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Does that sound like a guy who's really pissed off?
Good points. Very good points, but I never expected him to do it. I never expected him to endorse Donald Trump because that would totally isolate him. In New York, it was totally turned on.
You endorse nobody. In other words,
there's no Democrat that's for Trump.
No, but you endorse, in other words, you endorse nobody. Like, he was mad at Kathy Hochul. So instead of endorsing Kathy Hochul over Lee Zeldin before you had to, you put a feet to the fire and say, hey, Kathy, if I don't get to sit down in a couple of days with Stuart Cousins and Heastie and fix this bail reform nonsense, I'm not going to endorse you. I'm not going to endorse Lee Zeldin, but I'm not going to endorse you. Same thing with Biden. Don't be quick to endorse the person in your party. You could just not endorse anybody. But Adams has done that his whole reign. He is scared to death of the progressive left. Quite frankly, he's a pussy, and he's put himself into all these bad situations.
Hired bad people, it looks like. If I'd love to have this conversation tomorrow, I just want to hear the indictment. If this indictment sounds like the Trump civil trial and the Trump trial, a Frankenstein construction to destroy a person, even with the faults you brought up, I'm going to speak out about it because I am so sick of what would happen to Trump. And I do know that he was as critical as any Democrat outside Joe Manchin. And I'm just wondering if it's related. That's all. I'm just going to be curious until they read the indictment.
Brian, I know you live in Nassau County, and you're lucky. You got Bruce Blakeman, Peter King, Joe Cairo, Tony D, all these great people, okay? But you work in the city. You and I work a couple of blocks apart. There's nothing more fun than walking to Fox News to do your great show from my offices. You're in the city every day. The city is grotesque. It's not bad. It's disgusting. You really want Eric Adams? I know you're worried about fairness and what's right is right. You think Eric Adams has done enough to deserve New Yorkers' sympathies? The city's on fire.
Couple of things. It's a one-party town. I mean, Bloomberg for a minute was a Republican. Rudy Giuliani was a Republican. There was some legitimate matches. So it's like, who's the Democrat that's going to be better? And I don't know who is going to, like a Harold Ford would have been great. Moderate guy, sees both sides for any Democrat that you're going to meet. You would love Harold Ford. You should have him on.
I've known Harold Ford for 100 years from the Imus days. He was one of the first people, when he was still a politician in Tennessee, by the way, he was one of the first people to stab Imus in the back. And I hated Imus, but I didn't appreciate that. But forget about Harold Ford. What did I say to you on your show with Tommy Lahren?
Stabbed him in the back. Yeah.
Stabbed him right in the back, Harold Ford, right in the back. Killed Imus. What did I say on your show with Tommy Lahren? Go back and watch that tape. Because when Tommy brought up the Biden thing and they're after Adams, I said, he's finished. And he's finished. He just got indicted. I also said to you that the guy who's going to run and probably win and face Curtis Sliwa is Andrew Cuomo. That hasn't changed. Now, look, there may be a special election, and if there is, I know for a fact Joe Borelli, he's called me. He's going to get involved. But it doesn't matter. There'll be a regular election in 2025 afterwards, once Traiman Williams, which is really terrifying, runs his city for about a month. But really, the guy that has the best chance at being the next man, I want Curtis. But the guy that's got the best chance is Andrew Cuomo.
I mean, if I'm running against Cuomo, I get the tape of him on Capitol Hill 2 weeks ago, where they said you personally changed the results and the admissions in nursing homes to make yourself look better and to blame others on your staff for the death of America's seniors during the pandemic. So I think he's more than vulnerable. Does he know the city? Yeah. Does he become a power-hungry lunatic? Absolutely. Remember the pandemic? Can you imagine him in charge? If he does a couple of things good, he'll become a megalomaniac again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would love Curtis Sliwa to maybe see this opportunity for the special election to jump in there and just say, everybody knows him. You know he's going to track down on crime. You know he's going to work 22 hours a day. You know that he couldn't care less about parties. He cares about people. This might be the Schwarzenegger-like opening for Curtis to get in there.
And that's why, no matter what you've got planned for Saturday night, even with Trump and Harris, Eric Adams, first sitting mayor of New York to be indicted, is the biggest story in the country. And you must add Curtis Sliwa to your roster of your amazing show. And I really do love your show, which, of course, is on Saturday night, 9 p.m. after Levine on Fox News, One Nation. There's a no-brainer right there. I can get it done this morning.
Let me work on it. I got to talk to my people. I was out on the campaign trail with Dave McCormick last night.
Oh, were you really?
In Pennsylvania. It was fantastic. And we ended a place you would love, Washington's Crossing in Pennsylvania, where he put together those ships, he rallied together our troops.
Wow.
Some without shoes in the dead of winter, and went across the Delaware, walked 9 miles, and took out the British, mostly Haitians.
Wow.
Not Haitians, Haiti,
right.
but Hessians,
right.
I should say.
Right.
I don't want to bring in the whole problem they're having in Springfield, Ohio. It's really unrelated.
They're eating dogs.
Yes. They're eating cats.
That's
They're
right.
eating dogs. That went well.
All right, listen, you got to go. You got a big show to do.
Difference between Hessians and Haitians. That's big difference.
Oh, that's great.
So
Listen, have
you'll
fun
see that
today.
on Saturday night.
Okay, who else? Anybody else quickly?
Stay within yourself.
All right, well, I'll stay within myself. Who?
You want to know? Tom Cotton. Tom Cotton's going to be great. Mary Catherine Ham's going to be fantastic. We're also working on... Who else am I working? Hugh Hewitt is going to be with us.
Nice. Okay, big show.
And working on Nikki Haley, who I know you don't like, but I like her.
I don't like her, but I like to see her on television. I don't like her personally. I think she's a backstabber like Harold Ford, but I like to see her on TV.
Harold Ford's the best. You love Harold Ford. He's the guy you want to hang out with.
I know.
If there's a guy cooler than me, it's Harold Ford. I know you think I'm the top.
I do.
You think I'm the best.
I do.
Harold Ford's actually cooler than me.
I don't think so. I did, but I did see him, just so you know. I was walking into the RNC that Thursday night in Milwaukee, the night of the Trump speech. And what was funny is Eric Poling was standing right there. And then I walked into Harold Ford, and it was a very nice hello. Very pleasant. He was with Britt Hume, actually. And he was very nice. And I've known him for 20 years. But,
Have him back on.
I'll have him back on. Okay. You want to set it up?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'll text him today.
Good.
And I'll just say Sid wants to have you on.
Okay.
That's it.
Fair enough. I love you. One Nation is great. I'll stay within myself and have fun on Fox and Friends this morning. Find a way to mention me.
All right, go get him.
I will. See you later. There he is. Brian Kilmeade does an amazing job after me. 10 a.m. every weekday morning right here on WABC. Fox and Friends and One Nation on Fox News. What a way to start. That's the end of hour number one. But coming up next, the one man everybody in New York and around the country wants to hear from, the icon, the legend, hopefully the next mayor of New York, Curtis Sliwa, after Noam with the news.
Is Sid and Friends in the morning. Entertaining and informative.
Oh, you're my best friend.
77 WABC.
Happy days are here again. The skies above are clear again. Let us sing a song of cheer again. Happy days are here again. All together, shouting now.
Susan Brown Otto checks in up in Bethel, New York. Your analysis of Eric Adams during that Kilmeade conversation was brilliant. Thank you, Susan. My analysis, though, is it will pale in comparison. The two people on this show today that know this city, know this mayor, know about all the corruption more than anyone, and it's not close. I'm sorry, it's just not. Now, Morano's a close third, but it's Curtis and Sal Greco, and both of those guys are on my show today. And everybody loves Curtis. You know who he is. Rip and read, noon to 1, overnight weekends, but the icon, the legend, Mr. Guardian Angel. And Curtis, I got to also throw in Greg Kelly. I have to do that. Kelly, we ran a promo like 2 years ago. Bernard was still alive. And Kelly actually said, this guy's never going to live out his mayor role. He actually said that. He may have been the first. Now, I don't hear Greg every day, and I'm not sure how much he has stayed with that. He's a big Trump guy. Curtis, on my show every day, is the voice of this city. Curtis and Sid get huge ratings. I know that because every segment is rated, because he's the voice. But I got to give Greg Kelly credit. But on this show, Curtis has been right, and Sal, about everything. And even when it looked like certain guys weren't going to resign, Curtis said, it's happening, it happens. And Curtis kept saying, Adams is going down. He'd even start laughing hysterically when I would, bring up maybe he wouldn't go down. He has never gotten off that. He's going down. He's getting indicted. And we saw it yesterday. But Louis plays the song, Happy Days Are Here Again, because the overwhelming consensus, overwhelming, will be that Curtis is in a great mood today because he vilifies Adams every day. He doesn't like Adams, okay? Doesn't like him and wants to be mayor. And that's why this segment is going to be so special, because you're about to find out, shockingly, that no, for Curtis Sliwa, happy days are not necessarily here again.
No, not at all. And thank you for giving credit to Greg Kelly. You're absolutely correct. Remember, it was Eric Adams who called his father, the greatest police commissioner in history, 12 years serving, a racist. If there's one person who's not a racist, it's Ray Kelly. But let's talk about
Adams also called Rudy Giuliani a racist, and said that his tactics were racist as opposed to the great mayor, David Dinkins.
And you know all the things he said about me. But today is a sad day.
Really?
Nobody should be celebrating. I was in Paterson, New Jersey last night, opening up a Ronald Reagan Club in the heart of Democratic corruption. There are no Republicans there. And the people gave me the message.
There is one Republican, Lou Spagnola, whose father was a police chief in Patterson. We love Lou Spagnola, but otherwise, no.
And Abraham Lincoln on a $5 bill.
Right.
So I'm in the middle of talking to this group of blacks and Hispanics in Patterson, and they're getting the signals. Curtis, Eric Adams has been indicted. And I said, before everybody celebrates here and starts dancing salsa and merengue, know this. If he steps down or is forced to step down, socialism takes over New York City in the form of Jumaane Williams.
So you're telling me that with all the criticisms, and it's every day, Curtis, you and I have been doing this dance for over a year. We decided to do this daily, and it was a great decision. And almost every day, there are days, Cuomo, Trump, and almost every day, you kill Adams. You're telling me that as difficult as you've been on Adams, that you would much rather he'd be the mayor than Jumaane Williams and even Brad Lander, the next guy in line behind him.
Absolutely. First off, everybody should know that the princess of socialism knew he was going to be indicted. And notice, for the first time, AOC, all out crazy, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, leader of the Socialists of America, who you rightfully said is the most popular politician in New York City, announced that Eric Adams should step down.
She's one of 26 Democrats.
Yeah, but
26.
She's the socialist
I know
leader.
she is. And she's the socialist, and she's the anti-Semite, and not just the most popular politician in New York City. But I'm going to tell you this, quickly becoming a force in the Democrat Party in Washington, D.C.
I've known that because I've battled her and the other socialists. So now you have these three strong socialists. AOC, they're going to promote Jumaane Williams. He will be in there at least 3 months. Do you understand the damage that he could do?
Isn't it 60 days?
By the time everything works out, 3 months.
You can't have him run this city for 3 months. He's a progressive. He's a nut job. He's a socialist. And let me remind people, this Jumaane Williams, I remember when he was running for public advocate, and my guy Eric Orich, who I still love, Eric, I wanted him to win so badly he didn't. But this guy lives Fort Hamilton.
That's right.
But he wants to defund the police and send less money to the military, but he lives rent-free in Fort Hamilton.
And he would burn the flag. He would defund the military, defund the police, open up Rikers Island, and turn all the criminals loose. Have you all freaking lost your minds? I'm the guy who let you know about Eric Adams every step of the way. I helped the feds. You know some of this information found its way to them. Not that I ever sat down and had a sit down with them, but they followed up on Nancy's leads, who did the deep dive. She's been the best in the rip and read. But I'm telling you now, as personal as it's been between me and Eric Adams, it would be a mistake if he were to be removed by Hochul, who owes her whole political career to Eric Adams. But, you know, in politics, this is like organized crime. They'll have a meal with you, they'll pat you on the back, and then they'll stab you in the back.
Well, it's
I must tell you.
Let me start with that Morano, because Frank Morano is coming up at 8:15, and he has a very, very strong opinion on the possibility and or probability that Hochul removes Adams. Now, look, when Adams had all the issues with bail reform, which was before the illegals, and he went to Albany, and Andrea Stewart Cousins and Heastie slammed the door in his face. He stuck his tail between his legs and came back to New York and did nothing. He still never, ever talked bad about Hochul. In fact, as I mentioned to Kilmeade last segment, when she was running against Lee Zeldin, he could have said nothing because she's helped destroy this city. He endorsed her. He endorsed her.
Sid, he knew this was coming. He's never said anything bad about Donald Trump. He's hedging his bet. Have you heard him criticizing Donald Trump of late, saying anything negative, attending any of these anti-Trump rallies? Let me lay it out for you. We just had cops confront an emotionally disturbed guy with a knife on the L train on Sutter Avenue. Eric Adams supported the police. You know what Jumaane Williams would have done? He would have fired all those police. He would have been out there with the protesters. Little known fact, because I've seen this myself, at 9:45 on Monday, outside of a cop's house from the 73rd Precinct in Bay Ridge, demonstrators were there, throwing debris at the house, burning an American flag, telling the cop to come out, come out, come out. Jumaane Williams would be leading that. Are you aware of that, what happened on Monday night?
I am, and I can't stand Jumaane.
And they said, hey, Justin Ellick, they would say, come on out, Justin. They had taken a photograph of him. He wasn't even there at the L train.
Listen, I'm with you. Jumaane's worse. Much, much worse. Much worse. But now you've gone from where you kill Adams every day. Now all of a sudden he's Mr. I love the police. You know, you've complained on this show with me about Adams, the way he handles his police department, how he handcuffs his police department, how basically good cops have become mediocre cops, and mediocre cops are now gone because of Eric Adams, a quote-unquote former cop. So now, because you don't like Jumaane, and neither do I, and he is certainly a much worse choice, now you're going to tell me Adams is good with the cops?
Excuse me. This guy, Jumaane Williams, hates police. Where's a freaking kafia? From the river to the sea, he'll be leading those demonstrations. You think he's going to let the cops do anything to those demonstrators? They're going to run wild. Hey, who are you, King David II?
Yes.
Are you out to protect your people?
Yeah.
Jumaane Williams will lead those who demonstrate against Jews, who are anti-Semitic. This guy hates Jews. Come on.
Wait a second. This is all true. Okay?
Oh, so it's all true. So now we throw the baby out with the bathwater.
No, but you were just with me when I complained about Columbia University. And I said to you, this mayor just finished up celebrating Jewish Heritage Month and took big checks from Jews at Gracie Mansion, which you said Jews' checks don't bounce.
That's right. That's why.
And day one of Pesach, when I stood outside Columbia University with Michael Rappaport and Bruce Blakeman and Tony D'Esposito and Mike Lawler, he was on the way to Rome. Day one of Passover. And for the next 13 days, Jewish students couldn't even take a piss. And I said to you, if that was a Ku Klux Klan on the lawn, he wouldn't have waited 13 days.
Okay.
So all of a sudden now, he's great to the Jews? Because Jumaane may be worse?
No, not great. Jumaane Williams is mayor. They're flying the Palestinian flag at City Hall. They'll be flying the flag of Hezbollah.
You think
Hamas.
it'll be that bad, really?
Yes.
Wow.
This guy hates Jews. Listen to him.
I know he does. But do you think he'd be able to do that, really?
Why wouldn't he? The socialists will be taking over. You have to understand. Look, I went back and forth with Vicky Palladino today, a real leader of the Republican Party. She said, oh, my God, do they understand that if Eric Adams is forced out now, if Hochul forces him out or he resigns, Jumaane Williams takes over? This guy, you ask Frank Morano what he does when you do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I know. Curtis, answer this question for me. Do you think that the mayor is guilty?
Absolutely.
Okay, stop right there. So if you believe the mayor is guilty, he does not deserve any sympathy, any second. I don't care how bad Jumaane Williams may be. If you've got a sitting mayor who you really believe in your heart of hearts took money, is guilty, is corrupt, I don't care how bad the next guy is. Sounds nice, great. He got to go.
Yeah.
He got to go.
You want Chicago?
I don't want anything.
Well, that's what you get.
I've already got Chicago. We have just as many shootings.
No.
We have
I have guardian angels in Chicago. 100 shootings.
No, they're worse. You're right. You're worse.
Come on.
They're worse. But you can't hold on to Adams if you think he's guilty because you're worried the next guy may be worse. If you said to me, I don't know if he's guilty, and I don't want Jumaane.
No.
That makes sense.
I know he's guilty.
Then he can't stay.
Okay.
If you know he's guilty, he can't stay.
Let me ask you a question. You know what's going to happen? You don't want migrants coming into the Irish Riviera now. Who's going to welcome them in? Who's going to force you out of your home?
What is Eric Adams done about
them
it?
Space?
What is you complain every day about Adams and the migrants. Now Jumaane's going to be worse?
I want you to go out to the Rockaways and tell them, oh, don't worry about Jumaane being in office for 90 days.
We don't like Jumaane. We hate him. I made that clear. I agree with you. Jumaane would be worse than Eric. But where you're wrong is, if you've got a mayor who you believe broke the law, it doesn't matter who's coming up next. He's got to go. Would you make an argument that the guy that may replace Bob Menendez may be worse? No. Menendez needs to go to prison. If you think Adams is guilty, that's it.
That's not a comparable argument.
Oh, it's not? Do you think they're both guilty? Do you think Menendez?
Absolutely.
Then they both deserve to go.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. Your wife, Danielle, your 2 children are going to be real safe and secure in the Irish Riviera. You love the Irish Riviera,
We're not
right?
safe and secure now.
You know, you're white.
Yeah.
He's going to want to drive you out.
Yeah.
You're not part of socialism. Wake up, the rest of you. I hate Eric Adams for what he said about me and what he did to me in the campaign. Eric Adams' administration, as you know, wanted me fired, wanted me suspended every day. Thank God the man upstairs, John Catsimatidis, did not accede to their desire because we had an agreement. If you're wrong, Curtis, you're gone. And I've been right every step of the way.
Every step.
The man who has been wounded the most by Eric Adams is saying, be careful of what you wish for while you're dancing in victory today on his bones. I showed you all of his bones and where they were buried. And people called me a liar. They said I was making it up. And all you need to know is what Sid said. If a nonpartisan election comes about, it's all about name recognition.
And that's where, this is a conversation I just had with Kilmeade, you should win. I like Joe Borelli more than you do. He ain't Curtis Sliwa. Look, Brian said it best. Here's what you get with Curtis Sliwa. Curtis Sliwa is not going to be at Casa Cipriani. Curtis Sliwa is not going to be at Club ZZ or that other place he likes to go to. Curtis cares about New York. Curtis cares about the people. We know that already. So in this special election, I agree. Name recognition matters. And to me, that's your best bet to step in. I think you can win that. And when you win that, that'll put you in better position to beat Andrew Cuomo or whoever else may run in 2025.
What have I been telling you these last few weeks? My fellow Republicans are my worst enemies. They have a Stop Sliwa movement. Look at what Brian Kilmeade said when he came on. Just as Jesse Waters had months ago when he was promoting his book. Oh, Harold Ford Jr., Harold Ford Jr. This carpetbagger from Tennessee, this guy couldn't even find his way on a subway.
This is where I'm confused. And, of course, when he mentioned him, I mentioned quickly, Lewis, that Harold Ford Jr., who was friends with all of us. He was on Imus's show almost every week, and he was one of the first guys, him and Keith Olbermann, to stab Imus in the back. And as much as I didn't like Imus, I didn't appreciate that. But where does Harold Ford come to be mayor of this city when he was in Tennessee for years?
Carpetbagging. So the point is, everybody has their own favorite that they want to become mayor. The guy who exposed Eric Adams, the guy who warned you during the campaign, and nobody would listen. Nobody would listen to me. Oh, he's the future of the Democratic Party. He's the moderate cop. Yes, you did, Sid. But very few others did. And they said, sorry, Curtis. You know, we went with Eric Adams. He was a cop. We think this is good because only a Democrat can win. Haven't you heard that over and over? Only a Democrat can win. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If Jumaane Williams gets in 60 days or 90 days, he's going to turn this city upside down. The fear will increase. The flight will increase. You think corporations are going to want to stay in New York City?
They don't want to stay now, though.
Worse.
So if Adams leaves and Jumaane Williams takes over, and I agree, it'll be horrendous.
And the cops will be leaving in massive droves, retiring, going down south, and being hired and recruited there.
Again, they're doing that now. Maybe they'll do it more. I don't know. Does that not make your chances of winning in 2025 stronger if this Democrat is forced to leave and this progressive Democrat takes over and you're only Republican hope? So as bad as those 60 days is, don't you feel like selfishly that gives you an even better chance of winning in 2025?
I know the lay of the land. I know Republican leaders don't want me. They've started a Stop Sliwa movement.
All of them?
Yeah, get one of them to come on this airways and say, oh, Sliwa.
Well, the Asian community does back you.
Of course the Asian, the white ethnic community backs me. The Latino community backs me. Let's get it on. But they don't have a Republican out there with this kind of street cred.
Give me one Republican. Because, again, you know the lay of the land, that you would like to hear today go, you know what, Adams, Jumaane, let's take a real serious, give me one name, one Republican you would say, Thank you very much. We got a guy in Sliwa. He's running again. He loves this city. He's dedicated 40-plus years to defend New Yorkers. What has he gotten for that? Broken jaws and made fun of on late-night television. Give me that one guy.
That's your answer. I know what I've faced. My biggest challenge is amongst Republicans.
There's not one Republican you want to endorse you? Not one? Not one?
Hey, they have an opportunity now, right? Let's see. Let's see.
What they're going to do is, not only are they not going to endorse you, but to really stick it up your ass, they're going to run against you in the special election.
Yes. You see, Borelli's already doing that. You couldn't pick that guy out of a lineup in boroughs outside of Staten Island. Staten Island is a borough of only 500,000 people.
Are there any Republicans in Brooklyn or Manhattan? I don't know. I'm actually guessing out of ignorance.
How about this? Yeah. Let's see. This is the most powerful radio station in the nation, the most listened to morning program coast to coast. All the Republicans listen.
And Democrats.
Right. Let's see if they emerge. Let's see if they emerge.
Well, I'm sending this out there right now. If you are a Republican in New York, in any of these 5 boroughs, I want to hear from you if you are going to endorse and support Curtis Sliwa. I mean this. Justin, he'll get on the phones. Anybody who calls in, they can cold call. Hey, I'm a Republican. I want to put him on the air.
Got to be a leader, though, Sid.
Got to be a leader, right?
Got to be a leader.
Now, give me, when you say a leader.
Elected official, county chairperson, state chairperson.
You writing this down? Justin, write this down. Any leader, any Republican leader who is ready, willing, and able on this day to finally support and endorse Curtis gets on this show.
This is what's going to happen. If it's a nonpartisan election, it's going to be, who do we know? They know Cuomo, they know Sliwa. That's going to be the bottom line if Cuomo gets into the
they know
pit.
Adams, too. Adams.
But Adams can't beat.
In the special election, right. You mean the special election, not 2025, because he seems to think he's going to beat all this and run again. I mean, let's be honest. Here's my point at Adams. Let's say he beats all this, okay? Could happen. Trump's got 5 indictments. Is it fair to say, and you don't want Giuliani, either do I, so he doesn't resign, he doesn't get kicked out, he's indicted, but he's not going to prison. Is it fair to say that at the very least yesterday, with this indictment, unlike Trump, his political career is over?
Oh, you're correct. You're correct.
Why? Now, if it's not over for Trump, I know the answer, but I'm asking you to say it. If it's not over for Trump, 5 indictments, he's going to be the president. Why is it over for Adams?
Because Trump had support of Republicans. Trump had support of MAGA. It's a movement. You could have indicted Trump 9,852 times. You think Scott Lebedo and the MAGA people would have blinked? They would have said, no, they're doing this on purpose, and we understood that. But with Eric Adams at the last minute pulling a rabbit out of the hat, oh, this is the Biden administration because I stood up to them.
Overstated.
Complete.
And also, what did he do again yesterday? What did he do again? What has been, I've had a million complaints, I know the Jews especially. One of my biggest complaints about Adams is the race, right? What he did to that poor lady at the rent meeting when he made, he chopped her head off, a Holocaust survivor.
Look, the guy used to be a Farrakhan supporter. I brought that to your attention.
White cracker, white this, black this, my chocolate audience. And he comes out yesterday, and for some reason, it makes no sense, he has to add second black mayor. By the way, the first one was horrendous, and you love that guy, David Dinkins. Why even say second black mayor? Because he's a racist.
When all else fails, Eric Adams' entire career has played the race card. That's the only card he has left in the deck. Let's see how this works out. But stop dancing out there. Stop enjoying this because you don't know Jumaane Williams. I know Jumaane Williams. And as much as I revealed to you the corruption of Eric Adams, he's wounded. He won't be able to do anything as mayor. But you put Jumaane Williams in with AOC and Brad Landis supporting them and all the socialists. Guess what? You better pack your bags and head to Florida and Georgia and North Carolina and South Carolina, Texas, Tennessee, because you won't see an American flag flying over City Hall. You'll see a flag of Venezuela, of Nicaragua, of Cuba, of Red China. These people hate America. Wake up. Eric Adams has a lot of faults, and I pointed it out to you for years. But he's not a socialist.
No, he's not. So here's the deal. I got about 2 minutes to go in this segment. I've kept you on for like 25 minutes because you're the man. I don't have a political leader on the phone, but I've got somebody who's even better. In fact, maybe the greatest American. You're the greatest New Yorker.
Yes.
This guy may be the greatest American alive today, and he wants to show his support right now. You know him, Staten Island, likes to paint. Scott, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Well, it's always, again, it's us tinfoil hat people who are always right. Look, forget about the crimes that this guy's going to get banged out for. The crimes are against destroying the greatest city in the world right after Bill de Blasio, who I gave him hell a couple of weeks ago, if you saw that.
That was the greatest. Hold on, that was the greatest Instagram video ever. Scott LeBedo and Bill de Blasio outside the WABC gala. That was some of your most brilliant work.
Oh, God, it was great. And he actually thought I was friends with him. I don't know what the hell he was on. Anyway, look, I campaigned for Curtis last time around. I'm calling out my elected officials, my Republican elected officials, and 90% of them are my close friends. Enough with this establishment, swampy bullcrap going on here. Everybody knows Curtis. Look, I'm going to say this because I'm real. I know Curtis isn't the biggest fan of Donald Trump. And you know who is? I'm the biggest fan of Donald Trump. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump or national politics. This has to do with saving the once greatest city that ever existed in the universe. And Curtis Sliwa, like he says, he is in the streets from the shittiest neighborhoods to the highest neighborhoods. Every ethnicity, every gender knows Curtis. There's no reason that this man should not be running this city now. So all of you Republicans, show how much you love this city and the people that put you in office, and get behind this damn man already.
Thank you for that. That is the great Scott LeBedo, who's on this show 9:15 every Wednesday morning, the relentless patriot himself. And that's just about as good as any official.
The best possible endorsement. He's a fellow rebel of mine. And let me just mention this. Everyone else has your number, Sid. They know how to call here when they want to promote themselves. Who else has called other than Scott LeBedo? You see what I'm talking about?
I see it. No, I hear you. And the Harold Ford thing, you're right, because Jesse did it and Brian.
Stop Sliwa movement. Cuomo's even calling Republican leaders and say, Sliwa can't win.
Yep.
Vote for me. I know you don't like me, but we got to stop Sliwa. Why do they have to stop Sliwa? Because they know I'll criticize both parties. I'm here for the people, and I'm honest. You know I don't have two nickels to rub together.
No.
And I was born with nothing, and I'll die with nothing, probably at the rate I'm going in a cardboard box in Ward's Field.
God forbid. So on the way out, this has been an unbelievable segment because, again, Happy Daisy here again. No. You came on and said, no, this is a sad day.
Sad.
As much as I can't stand Eric Adams, the looming possibility of Jumaane Williams is exponentially worse. And just confirm that one more time on the way out.
Absolutely. You know I hate Adams. He's helped destroy the city after de Blasio. Jumaane Williams will turn New York City into a socialist enclave that AOC and Brad Lander are going to be supporting. Is that the city that you want? A wounded Eric Adams is better than a strong Jumaane Williams wearing his keffiyeh, singing from the river to the sea. That's right, Jews. You better leave New York City, the number 2 place of Jewish population in the world. And cops, I'm locking you up. I'm turning criminals loose on Rikers Island. And guess what? You want to be prostitutes. You want to defecate and urinate in the streets. You want to turn this into Sodom and Gomorrah. Jumaane Williams will do all of that. And I will do anything to stop that to the day I die.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning. 77 WABC. 2, 3, 4.
One of my favorite Bruce Springsteen songs ever. You know, some lady actually sent me a message on social media yesterday. Stop playing Springsteen! And I sent her back one word. I don't answer most of you people because the detractors are stupid. You're dumb people.
One word.
One word. No. No.
Oh, okay. I thought it was...
She goes, well, now I'm not going to listen to you. I said, ma'am. Okay. I have 1 million listeners. I'll be all right.
But she will keep listening.
Of course, she's listening right now. Don't be Lisa, whatever. She's a Jew, too, by the way. Gold Farm or something. And then she goes, they should replace you with Curtis anyway. I said, listen.
Wow.
Listen, Curtis, who was just on and just brilliant. Everybody, my phone is blowing up. Russ Sullivan, Shane Soderman, George V. upstairs. They loved it. All of them. Curtis would be the first to admit. Nobody replaces me. Nobody. Done. No one comes close. Nobody at this station. Nobody at WOR, the ratings. Nobody. Curtis will be the first to admit it. The first. No one's replacing me. Done. I'm not Eric Adams. I'm not replaceable. Okay? So, then I blocked her. And that was the end of that. George V. I want to thank George V. because tomorrow we played Springsteen because we're going to be in Jersey. My buddy Frankie Brusco's place over easy. He's got 2 other great restaurants. Gabriella's and Patricia's in Homedale. But this, I guess, is more like a breakfast or a lunch. I've never been to this place. Homedale's a lovely area in New Jersey. But I told him, I said, I can't go to some restaurant. These people are crazy. Not that somebody's going to necessarily try to kill me. I'm not Trump. I get it. But who knows? I don't know. But then what happens is they walk up to you during the show like I'm on the air. I can't have that. You know, hey, Sid. And then they start bringing me books and jewelry and all kinds of crazy stuff. So George is going to have Dom. I love Dom. Dom's the best. He'll be there tomorrow. So
then you're fine.
Then I'm fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
Thank God for, George V. and Dom. And
great.
Killser and Chad put this together, too. Thank you. Because it just gets, again, it's less about protection and more about, I got to host a show. And these people, they don't seem to care about that, which is very nice. I love their enthusiasm. Oh, my God, Sid. Don't get me wrong. I love it, but I got to do the show.
I have an original version of "You're stupid and idiot and you don't know what you." I loved you. That day with Imus when you came up
the
with
shirts. Yeah, the shirts. Was that real? One more thing. Curtis makes a good point. I brought up the race point. I bring it up every time with Adams. He's the second black mayor. I couldn't give a rat's ass. But Curtis makes one more good point. That is, Jumaane Williams, unlike Eric Adams, is good with the city council. So the real mayor of New York is Adams, but it's not Eric Adams, it's Adrienne Adams. She runs the city council. She's a horrible person, but she has more power than the mayor. And this Jumaane, he's good with them. So if he wants to pass any legislation, they'll do it for him. Not for Eric. So there's a lot at stake here, and Curtis shocked the world because you all thought Happy Days are here again. He said, he proved how much he loves this city. He loves this city, right? He said, no. I hate Eric Adams. I spent every day on your show, Sid, the last year and a half killing him. But Jumaane's worse. And I love New York more than more than my own personal interest. So if that doesn't prove to you, just that conversation just now, that Curtis Sliwa is worthy of running this city, I don't know what will. Jumaane, Brad Lander, even Andrew. I mean, Andrew's he had his moment. There was a week, I'll tell you this, there was a week where Bernard and I really thought Andrew Cuomo was presidential. We did. During the COVID. We're like, damn, this guy's good. Damn. There were women by the hundreds of thousands masturbating to Andrew Cuomo's press conferences, dreaming about him. Hey, the guy was huge. Now, we have it all up for a lot of people. But he still has, I know it's going to sound crazy, to people like Jennifer Harrison and Janice Dean and Tracy Alvino. I know it is. But he still maintains some popularity. He does. There are still women that find him to be good looking, for example, and even though the Me Too stuff, that was nonsense, and he has charisma. He's going to be a force on the left. I know it sounds crazy. It doesn't matter. Politics are crazy. Andrew Cuomo, he's been indicted by Letitia James. Eric Adams has been indicted. Donald Trump's been indicted. Really, at this point, if you don't get indicted, you're a loser. It's kind of like being in radio. If you've never been fired from your radio job, you're a loser. That means you're vanilla. Nobody cares if you come or go. You're probably a very nice person, and nobody cares. Now, don't get as fired as much as I have. That's just stupid. But if you've never been fired, you have not had a real career in this. Now, if you're a politician, you haven't been indicted, you're doing something wrong.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning. 77 WABC.
Music. I love Brian Ferry, lead singer here. It's a great song. Also, Slave to Love, great song. And I guess our guy, Brian Ferry, is celebrating a birthday today. Is that right, Lewis?
79.
79.
I know you love
Jeez. Ay, ay, ay. You know, I just gave my my picks for Juiceville for the NFL weekend coming up, and Steelers, Raiders, and over in that Arizona game. And the Giants start week 4 tonight. We'll get back to the Eric Adams stuff. Frank Morano, Bill O'Reilly, and Sal Greco. 3 great guests coming up. And we've had 2 great guests already with Kilmeade and the showstopper, Curtis. But the Giants play tonight. You know, they won in Cleveland last week. Dallas looked bad. They came back, made a game of it, but lost to Baltimore. Both teams are 1-2. And Dallas is a huge disappointment because Jerry Jones gave all that money to the quarterback, Dak Prescott, and wide receiver C.D. Lamb, and they've looked bad. Now, Dallas came to New York last year, New Jersey. I was there that first night with Abe and Gabe sitting in a driving rain, thanks to Pete Morgan, and they beat us 40-0. And that was basically the end of the Giants season. The Giants did win last week, and Malik Neighbors is special. There's no doubt about it. The rookie wide receiver, 2 touchdowns. He made Daniel Jones look good. But Dallas comes in tonight as a 6-point favorite. And the Giants really can't beat Dallas. Now, here's a number, though, that Brandon Lang gave to me, the great Brandon Lang. You know, the Giants are 8-2 against the spread their last 10 games when getting 3 points or more with 5 outright wins, including last week in Cleveland. That's a great stat. But, Brandon, with that said, I'm a Giant fan. I like what I saw from Neighbors and even Jones last week. Singletary, the defense had 7 sacks. They're going to get killed tonight. I love Dallas. So, I would lay the 6 with the Cowboys. Brandon's talking about a teaser, Dallas and over. Either way, Cowboys and Giants week 4 starts tonight. Frank Morano coming up next. We continue our coverage of the indictment, first ever indictment of a sitting mayor in New York. It was coming, folks. It was coming, and it's here. Eric Adams, what happens next? Morano, O'Reilly, and the man, along with Curtis, who has been the best in terms of all this information. He's called every resignation, and he told me about this indictment at 4 o'clock yesterday, hours before any of you knew. Any of you, I knew because of Sal Greco. All those guys coming up.
There's no way more than that. You know there's nothing more than that. Tell me one thing more than that. No, there's nothing.
Entertaining and informative. This is Sid and Friends in the Morning. 77 WABC.
They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together ooky. The Addams Family. Their house is a museum. When people come to see them, they really are a scream. The Addams Family.
Neat. Sweet. Petite.
So get a witch's shawl on, a broomstick you can crawl on. We're gonna pay a call on the Addams Family.
Yeah, the old Adams Family. No Lurch. No, I always confuse the Munsters with the Adams Family. So I believe the Kid Tuesday or Wednesday or Pugsley, that was the Adams Family, and Morticia and the great John Aston with his smoking jackets. That was the Adams Family. But they have to replace all these people with, like, David Banks, Sheena Wright, Phil Banks. That's the Adams Family in New York City, but it's equally as horrifying. And there are no cute players. At least Tuesday was cute. Boy, they made that movie.
Morticia
wasn't bad either.
No.
Yeah. And the daughter, they made a movie about Tuesday.
Wednesday.
What is it, Wednesday?
It's Wednesday.
No, it's Thursday. That's what I did
that
there.
Was brilliant.
Pretty good.
Brilliant.
That was a very Abbott and Costello type of thing. But the girl who played Wednesday, my son had a big crush on her. What's her name? She's a very popular young actress. Latino girl. Pretty girl.
Jeez.
But it turns out, no shocker here, that she'd be one of those people standing outside of BB's hotel tomorrow night, yelling and screaming about freeing Palestine. Find out her name, but so now Gabe doesn't like her anymore because we placed, Israel ahead of
she is
erections.
doing that. Wow, that's
Yeah,
Jenna
she
Ortega.
is. Yeah, what is it?
Jenna
Ortega.
Jenna Ortega. That's right. So what's the deal with BB?
BB is going to arrive here today. He's going to speak at the UN General Assembly tomorrow. There is word that the U.S. is pushing this 21-day ceasefire with Hezbollah. Publicly, Netanyahu is saying that he's not on board, but apparently the thought is that behind the scenes at the UN, he'll meet with American officials and try to negotiate something to stop the missiles that are coming as close as Tel Aviv yesterday and the missiles going into Lebanon. So that may happen. But then, of course, the big story in the city today you'll see some big protests, anti-Netanyahu, anti-Israel protests. We've seen some already this week, but tomorrow will be some of the biggest ones.
And there'll be pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas, and Jews, even worse, and Jews. As I get set to go back to Israel, the press release is being written as we speak. Justin's coming with me, of course, Michael Rappaport, and we leave in about 9 days. We'll take a short break. A lot more Eric Adams coverage. 3 great guests. Frank Morano, Bill O'Reilly, and the guy right there with Curtis Sliwa, Sal Greco, all coming up. Sid and Friends in the morning.
WABC. This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
No, I get by with a little help from my friends.
Whenever dark is falling, you know the spirit of the party starts to come alive until the day is dawning. You can throw out all the blues and hit the city lights, 'cause there's music in the air and lots of loving everywhere. So give me the night.
George Benson. I used to love George Benson. 8:36. You've had a great show already. Great. Brian Kilmeade, Curtis Sliwa, Scott Lebedo called in. Bill O'Reilly still to come. That's the big one. And Sal Greco. And on this Eric Adams story, it's Sliwa and Greco. 1A and 1B. But Frank Morano's right there, too. Frank does a tremendous job. Not a good job. Gets big ratings. I'm going to say it sound like Trump, but he gets big ratings doing overnights, the other side of midnight. My friend Frank Morano. And Frank, when I spoke to you this morning, you wanted to talk about the Adams story, but you really wanted to drive it home from the governor's point of view. Tell my listeners what you're thinking about.
Well, yeah, good morning, Sid. Thanks for having me. Certainly, we're living in interesting times, but I completely agree with what you and others have said about the defiant tone of Mayor Adams. I think it was up to him. He would continue being mayor even if he's governing from a prison cell. Right. Now, it really is not up to him, though. The governor, as you know, and as a lot of your listeners may know, has the ability to remove the mayor. And this is a particularly weak governor and a particularly unpopular governor.
You mean the governor who also has the power to remove Alvin Bragg?
Exactly. She's got the power to remove Alvin Bragg, but politically, I think that would have been a much more difficult thing for her because there are a few key differences between Bragg and Adams. Really, the only similarities are, one, they're both black, and two, they're both independently elected. In the case of Alvin Bragg, the only people calling for Hochul to remove her were Republicans. There wasn't a single Democrat that called for Bragg to be removed by Hochul. In the case of Adams, as of the time I got off air this morning, there were 26 elected Democrats, conservative Democrats like Bob Holden and progressive Democrats like Tiffany Caban, all calling on Adams to be removed. So
even well-known names like Angelo Ocasio-Cortez and two people running against Mayor Adams, if he is going to run again, Brad Lander and Scott Stringer.
That's exactly right. So you have to ask yourself the question, would Hochul risk standing up to her own party in order to save Eric Adams? I don't see it. I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure on her from the party within New York and within the Democratic Party nationally to put an end to this and make sure that Adams is removed. Now, let's say she doesn't remove him. Then addition, Brad Lander, one of the Democrats that you just referenced there, he is one of the people that serves on what's called an inability committee that's spelled out in the city charter, where a deputy mayor picked by Adams, the speaker of the city council, Adrian Adams, you talk about the Adams family, the controller, Brad Lander, and borough president Donovan Richards, and the corporation council, a position that's vacant, so it would be the acting corporation council, they get to determine whether there's an inability in the office of the mayor.
And then just about all those people, Donovan, by the way, happens to be the borough president of my borough, Queens. But,
that's right.
Right, but all those people are not fans of Eric.
Except for the deputy mayor that Adams himself would pick. Aside from that person, they would absolutely get rid of Adams. So how impotent would it make Hochul look if she doesn't pull the Band-Aid off and instead leaves it to this inability committee? So whether Adams wants to or not, and I don't disagree with you that he doesn't want to, we're going to have a vacancy and a nonpartisan special election.
Wow.
Because Hochul or this inability committee is going to take him out.
You know, Curtis was on this morning, and I thought Curtis's segment, I know you heard it, was really great today because here's a guy that rips Adams every day. But if you ever wanted to know for sure how much Curtis loves this city, he was defending Adams today in this segment at every turn because he's so deathly afraid of the alternative, which is Jumaane Williams, whether it's 60 days or 3 months. And he's right. Jumaane will be even worse than Eric Adams. But you seem convinced. There's no doubt that Adams is out.
I do. I don't see any way that Hochul not that she's a big fan of Jumaane Williams. Williams ran against her twice, so I don't know that she's looking to do him any favors. But I think if it's a choice between an embattled Eric Adams, whose only friends of late happen to be the center right in the Democratic Party and in the city as a whole, or Jumaane Williams, I think she'll absolutely put up with Jumaane Williams for 2 months, and I think that's where we're headed. And I think we're going to see the kind of nonpartisan special election that you and Curtis, Joe Borelli, and others have been talking about.
We have been talking about it because Borelli called in last Monday when it started to become pretty obvious that Adams was going to be next and a special election might be in the not-so-distant future. He called in and he said, I would get involved in that. He would not get involved if Adams didn't resign in 2025, but if Adams is removed, Borelli jumps in. And you talked about this, and so did he. The crowded field, how everybody has an opportunity, right. And Cuomo jumps in, and Borelli jumps in, and who knows who else? Maybe John Catsimatidis, maybe David Patterson. I don't even know. Maybe Harold Ford Jr. I don't know. But it's got to be great for Curtis Sliwa, no?
I would think so. I mean, look, there's no precedent for this, and anything can happen. And I think you'd see a number of other Democrats beyond the 5 that are running now. And in addition to Cuomo, I think you see Catherine Garcia jump in. I think you see Christine Quinn jump in.
Is Wiley done? Is Maya Wiley out? Is she done?
I don't think so. I think the strategy among the progressives had been to throw as many progressives in there and make sure that the DSA and the working families don't end up ranking Eric Adams anywhere, so that this way, if Brad Lander doesn't get enough votes, maybe Jessica Ramos will. If Ramos doesn't, maybe Zellner Myrie will. So no, I think Maya Wiley is absolutely still a candidate. But with ranked choice voting, with Curtis in there, with Joe Borelli in there, with John Tabacco in there, you mentioned John Catsimatidis, you could rank Curtis first, Joe Borelli second, John Tabacco third, and not have to worry about those votes being siphoned from one or another. Here's what helps Curtis. When you walk around the city with Curtis, which I know we both have, Curtis gets a reaction from everybody, not just Republicans. He lost that mayoral election primarily because he had a Republican label next to his name. In a nonpartisan election, there's no Republican label next to Curtis Sliwa or any Democratic label next to Cuomo or Stringer. All these guys run with a made-up party name, and they would be judged based not on their party registration or their party nomination, but on who they are as a person. So
interesting.
We've never seen this for mayor before. This is uncharted territory.
I got to tell you, if Danielle didn't threaten to divorce me every day, and that's the last, that's the only thing in life I can't live with is Danielle leaving me, I would jump in. Why not? I mean, why not? What do you have to lose? Just to see how really popular I am in New York.
Well, look, I think you are tan enough to potentially get some of the black vote. You are Jewish enough to get some of the Jewish vote.
There you go.
And with ranked choice voting, you know, you can get some of that Republican vote as well. I think you'd be very formidable. Why not?
Why not? So listen, on the way out, this was a great segment.
I'm not sure you have enough scandal to be mayor.
I know, thank God.
If you look at Cuomo, if you look at Stringer.
I don't even compare. What, I didn't pay a couple of bookies years
You're
ago.
an
Who cares?
amateur.
Give me a break. Exactly. Last one here. So, again, you come on, you say you are pretty convinced that it's over, that Eric Adams is going to be out. That would lead to the special election. That would be done by the governor, Kathy Hochul. Give me the Frank Morano percentage that Eric Adams is out, not stays, out.
I would say 90%.
Wow.
I would say within the next 40 days, the pressure is going to come to bear on Kathy Hochul to remove him, she's not going to be able to withstand it. If there's one thing Kathy Hochul doesn't have in spades, it is a backbone. And she's certainly not going to stand up to her own party, not by a long stretch. No way.
Well, I'm so glad you came on. That was great. I'm not sure you're right.
And keep in mind, by having Cuomo run for mayor, she takes him out as a potential opponent against her in 2026.
Right.
I think it's a done deal.
Which I've heard rumors that, you know, if this crowd gets too crowded, this field, I should say, for mayor, that Andrew would even consider going against her. Who knows? He's everywhere. He's walking the streets. He's already shaking hands. I've had multiple conversations. He's coming back in some capacity, whether it's mayor or governor. So we'll see. But this is a very important and great conversation. This is why you own the overnights, Frank Morano. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sid. Appreciate it very much. Great show today, as always.
Thank you. You too. Have a great day. That's Frank Morano, the terrific host of The Other Side of Midnight. Folks, 1 to 5 a.m. Can't beat it. It's the best overnight show, I'm going to say, in the country. We'll take a short break. When we get back, it's the ratings winner of the week. It's Bill O'Reilly and Sid Rosenberg. The great one, Bill O'Reilly, coming up next.
And lots of loving everywhere, so give me the night. Give me the night. So come on out tonight, and we'll leave the others on the ride to paradise. And if you feel alright, then we can be lovers, 'cause I see that starlight look in your eyes. And don't you know?
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
But you say he's just a friend. Oh, you're my best friend.
77 WABC.
The dark side's gonna love them is real. She'll never know just how I feel. From under the shadow, she walks like a dream. Make me feel crazy, make me feel so mean. And nothing gonna save me from the love that's blind. Slip to the dark side, cross that line. On the dark side. Oh yeah. On the dark side. Oh yeah.
Beaver Brown Band, Sean Cafferty from the great movie Eddie and the Cruisers. Michael Paré was the protagonist in that film. It was great. Folks, he was the best. He still is the best. He'll always be the best. It doesn't matter. Whether it's weeknights at 9 p.m. on WABC or his own amazing no-spin website, BillO'Reilly.com. Great interviews, great stories, great TV show. His Killing series, all 13 New York Times bestsellers, or his book out right now, already number one in 2 weeks, Confronting the Presidents. An amazing read. Even the stuff he does with, he's actually made Chris Cuomo, this is unbelievable. He's actually made Chris Cuomo somewhat reliable. Somewhat. He is the great Bill O'Reilly. Bill, good morning, my friend. How are you?
You know, I'm delirious. I think that's the right word. What radio station am I on now? You know how it is. You got to do all this promotion and confronting the presidents. We've sold more than 100,000 copies in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Jeez. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And I'm very thankful to WABC because you guys have helped me a lot.
Well, it's a great book. I don't get paid any extra to promote your book. So if I'm doing it, it's because I'm sincere about it. And I read. It's a great book, and it's a great learning experience. And for anybody who cares about the history of the presidency, it is the best book ever written. That's the bottom line. So go buy it today, Confronting the President's Bill. I don't know. You got Trump. He's out there and speaking in Carolina. You got Harris. She's out there confusing everybody, including herself, about the economy in Pittsburgh. You got the mayor of New York City indicted. I don't know where the hell to start with you.
Well, let's run it down. I think Eric Adams deserves due process. I don't believe that the governor is going to replace him. That would be a blunder. It would be a blunder just constitutionally. Sends a wrong message.
Well, wait a second. You're right about that, but this is politics. Nobody cares about messages. What's right?
I care.
I know you do. You do, but she has to answer to these crazy Democrats, Hochul.
No, she has to answer to me. So I'm telling her right now, don't fire at anybody. Okay. Just let it play out.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, let me ask you this, though. I agree with you. So I don't agree with Frank Morano. Either I agree with you and Curtis. But from what you know, and of course you haven't read the indictment yet, so it's hard to even predict this. But from what you know, with all that's gone on, do you have a gut feeling, without knowing for sure, these are just allegations, do you have a gut feeling whether Eric is innocent or guilty?
All I know is that I believe Eric Adams is a good chance he will move to Istanbul. All right, I think he's looked at condos there. I think he's shopping. He's got his little fez already. Did you know that?
No, but
little fez.
He's got a fez. You happen to pick the one damn country who allegedly hasn't paid him yet.
Anyway, let's stop the hysteria. Let's let the mayor defend himself, and that's our system. Now, I listen to you and Curtis because here's why I listen to Rosenberg and Sliwa. I have a hard time waking up sometimes, and as soon as I turn them on, I bolt out of bed. You cannot relax when those two people are chatting.
Right, you forget about Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts.
No, all you got to do is put on WABC when you get up. Okay, so he's right. Sliwa is right that Jumaane Williams will blow this city up. And it's not because Jumaane Williams is incompetent, so is Eric Adams. I mean, Eric Adams running the city almost as bad as de Blasio, not quite.
Thank you for saying that. I told that to Brian Kilmeade this morning. I said, yeah, maybe not as bad. That's fine. But if your barometer is, if he's better than de Blasio, he's good, then we're in big trouble.
No. It's awful. Everybody knows that. Just the streets of New York City alone, the most glamorous city in the world by far. I mean, pot smoke, people, throwing up, doing every horrible thing in the world. Social order is broken down. Right. But what people need to know about this Williams guy and the others who follow him is they want to blow the city up. They don't want to improve the lifestyle of New Yorkers. They want to blow the system up.
Which is exactly what Curtis said earlier today.
Yeah, they hate the country. They want to blow it up, and then they want to start over in this socialistic vision. And there is an element of that in Washington, D.C., as well. And Kamala Harris doesn't understand that, but she is being used by those people. So let's segue into her. Did you see the interview on MSNBC with her?
The one on MSNBC. Help me out.
That was last night.
I did
you
not.
were probably in the land of Nod, dreaming about Curtis.
No, I was actually, I was watching the Yanks, believe it or not.
You were watching the Yanks.
Because the Mets got rained out. But who did the interview? Was it Rachel Maddow?
No, it was Stephanie Rule. And it doesn't really matter who does it on MSNBC.
Yeah.
They could have six just interchangeable. I learned a few things from the MSNBC Kamala Harris interview. First of all, I did not know that the vice president has a Burger King franchise because she was dishing up Whoppers from top to bottom the whole 25-minute interview.
That is a great line. I hope you've written that somewhere on BillO'Reilly.com.
Okay, so let's get specific because that's what I do.
Nope, no, we're not. We're not going to get specific just
we're
yet.
taking a break.
We're
taking a break, right?
Because you don't realize this. You don't even realize this. You should. You're the best ever. But you are the king of the radio tease. You always set me up like when I'm going to tell you, and I go, Bill, this is a perfect time. So before you tell us why that's the case, we are going to take a break. Everybody can't wait to get back and hear what you're going to say next. So quick break, and then the best ever, Bill O'Reilly, finishes his statement, plus a lot more with great Bill. Sid and Bill coming back at you.
Is Sid and Friends in the morning. 77 WABC.
Chain, 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 chain.
A sexy song. Bill O'Reilly's a sexy guy. Come on. He's a good-looking man. We're going to see Cool & Gang together. And, of course, he's MrBillO'Reilly.com. No Spin News, #1 book in the world. Confronting the presidents. Go buy it. So, Bill, I cut you off right at the point when you're about to make the most important statement of the day. So once again, the stage is yours.
Okay, so in an interview, I just want to make this general point. You are supposed to follow up. You ask the question, the person answers it. If it's a politician, the odds are the person's not going to answer it honestly or dodge, all right? But then you follow up. So on MSNBC last night, Stephanie Rule is sitting across from the vice president and setting her up with big softballs about the economy. So as I mentioned before the break, here come the Whoppers. And I don't want any onions on mine, but it was unbelievable. Wow. First thing that Kamala Harris says is, we, Joe Biden and I, inherited the worst economy since the Great Depression.
They've said that 10 times. It's not even close to being true.
But what people don't know is that somewhere Herbert Hoover was going, thank you, thank you, oh, my God.
And by the way, now you have to read Confronting the President to know what he's talking about here, Herbert Hoover.
Yeah, so that's absurd, okay? Then she says that the Trump economy was horrible. And all Ms. Rule had to do was, well, how can that be true if real wages in the 4-year average were up more than 7% for Americans, and under Biden-Harris, they're down 3%. That's a 10% swing negative. And it's just simple.
Well, do you? Right? Let me stop you. Do you think? And my friend Russ Sullivan checks in. It's a brilliant statement. He says, "Tell O'Reilly it's pretty bad when Oprah and MSNBC can't help Harris." But do you think Stephanie Rule knows that and leaves it out because she's agenda driven, or she just doesn't know?
No, she knows it. But look, having anyone on MSNBC interview Kamala Harris is like having Miss Harris's mom interview her.
Right.
Hello, would you like more pie?
Right.
Okay. So then she goes into, and I can give you 10, 15 examples of just absolute distortions. But the biggest one was, yes, we have a crisis on the border. This is what Harris said. Well, wait a minute, lady. For the past 3.5 years, you've been telling the American public the border was secure. And it's on videotape.
Many times.
And
Many
now,
times. Yeah.
now, you are saying we have a border crisis. But you know whose fault it is? Trump.
Trump's
fault.
You know,
okay,
but,
right,
hold on,
okay.
but you're talking about the border crisis. I'm going to say this. It's a much bigger picture, Bill, than just the border crisis. She has said, up until the time Biden had to bow out, that this administration was basically perfect. They've done everything great. Everything great. Now she's running for president, Now she's admitting that they basically did nothing great. The border's a mess. She's got to. So wait a second. So for 3.5 years, this was a great administration. Biden was the best president ever. She was the vice president. Now she's saying, I got to fix everything. Doesn't that send a signal to Democrats that they've been lying from day one?
No, because they don't want to believe it. They hate Trump. There's no issue in the campaign. All right? There's no issue. I hate Trump, and I don't care what she says. I don't care how incompetent she is. I mean, all you got to do is look at her saying that President Biden's at the top of his game. At the top of his game.
Come on.
Oh, man. And she had lunch with him a couple of times a week, okay? And they ordered in Whoppers. And so you look at it and you go, well, wait. And now you have to reorganize everything in the government because we're all falling apart?
All of it.
Yeah. And so Ms. Rule just sits there. Just sits there. Lets all of this go.
Yeah.
So what's the point? What's the point? But I was amused because we got to pay our fair share. Said that 4 times. I think she stole that from Biden, didn't it? Fair share?
Yes.
I don't know. Then, this is new. She wants to impose a holistic economy. So I think what that means is that every American are going to get wind chimes in the mail. I think. I'm not quite sure what this holistic economy is, but we got to have it. We're going to a holistic. And then she said, I want to be very frank. And Morano collapsed. All right?
You should be a pips today. You should be a pips today or catch a rising star than my show.
Yeah, I'm doing it tonight. I'll be with Seinfeld.
You are great.
So, wait a minute, lady. You want to be? So you've been lying to us the whole interview, and now you want to be frank? You only got 2 minutes left. Come on. It was amusing, but the main point is that people voting for Kamala Harris don't care.
They don't care. And this goes back to something that Alan Dershowitz said on this show a couple of days ago. And he has exited the Democrat Party. He won't vote for a Democrat, at least for now. But he also won't vote for Trump yet. And he said this race, and boy, did you just point it out, comes down to policy over personality. Everybody voting for Harris is voting for her giggling smile personality because they hate Trump. Everybody voting for Trump is voting for him because of his policies, and we love him too. Policy versus personality. Which P word wins?
Well, Trump had a good week this week. I don't know why. I think maybe because he's gotten away from barbecuing dachshunds. I think we haven't heard that this week from Trump.
They're eating dogs and cats.
Yeah, I mean, I just wrote them a little through my television program. Like, okay, look, leave the pets alone. Can we just do that for 6 weeks? Just goldfish? No.
But it makes me nervous because I think he's actually going to Springfield, Ohio soon. Then you may revisit that.
He's going to Butler, and just keep it in reality, okay? You don't need to get this crazy stuff, and every time you do it, your message is obscured.
Right.
But the final thing is that when you read, and I'm talking to the audience now because you've already read it, Confronting the Presidents, you're going to come across a man named Warren G. Harding.
Oh, you can't talk about this guy enough.
I know, and we talked about it last week. But when I go out in the street and I'm talking about that, I go, what do you think of Warren G. Harding? Oh, that's a rapper, right? Oh, I love Warren G. This guy was so bad, and no one knew anything about him because he wouldn't give interviews. We didn't have MSNBC then. That's not really an interview. I don't know what that was last night, but it wasn't an interview. And I understand, though, Harris is going to go on 60 Minutes, and so is Trump. Not at the same time.
Right.
Separate interviews. Now, I'm looking at the roster of 60 Minutes. I don't know who they're going to put up to interview either of them.
I mean, the last time I think Trump was on 60 Minutes, it may have been with Pence or himself. I don't know.
No, it was Leslie Stahl.
Leslie Stahl. She was terrible. She was terrible. Terrible.
Can't do it. Leslie is a liberal, always has been, hated Ronald Reagan, by the way. So I don't know where that gets us. So right now, Trump had a decent week, and he's kind of inching ahead. keep your eye on the Hispanic vote. So that is going to be the key for the Republicans this time around. But there's going to be stuff that happens, all right? In the next 6 weeks, not going to be at the level of assassination attempts or Biden not running. Oh, by the way, did you see Biden on The View?
I did.
Oh, my God. Oh, they were.
Joy.
Oh, my God.
Honestly, is Joy Behar the most despicable person you've ever watched on TV?
Listen, I've known her forever. I'm not going to say anything bad about her. But I do believe that legally she should change her first name.
To?
Anything but Joy.
I know.
There's
Oprah Winfrey. I know. Joy.
There.
Oprah Winfrey loves that word.
But, yeah, I know. They're all joyful. I'm glad. The New York Times is really joyful that they could put me on the #1 slot for the 19th time. You know how joyful that makes those people over there at the New York Times?
Every one of those people wants to kill themselves.
I just always hear that. But it's a crazy world, and we're living in an age of almost insanity when you can have a presidential candidate, and Kamala Harris is by far the most radical left person ever to run for the presidency in a major party. By far. She makes Barack Obama look like Ted Cruz, okay? That's how far left she is. Oh, God. But you wouldn't know it because when she gets on television, she's Aunt B. Andy, I have brownies for you. I mean, and I'm going to wrap it up with one more. In 3.5 years, the Biden-Harris administration has run up the federal debt to $7 trillion more, to 35 plus. All right, that's almost impossible to do. And if it continues this way, the country will go bankrupt. Our economy will collapse. And what does Ms. Harris tell MSNBC? I'm going to give all Americans who want to buy a home $25,000. That's $5 trillion. Give, not a loan, give. Now, any interviewer with an IQ over 30 goes, you can't do that. That would collapse the entire U.S. dollar. But no, we have brownies and Whoppers. I'll have a cheese on my Whopper. And it's just, I'm sitting here going, what an insane country we are living in now.
I mean, that would never get passed in the...
No. Nothing except the free wind chimes.
Exactly.
Could get passed.
Right, exactly.
Nothing she says, it's all unconstitutional, by the way.
All of it. And Trump made that point. One of the few good points he made the last debate, where he wasn't at his very best. But he did make that point. She ain't going to pass any of this.
No, but, at the same time, he makes a good point like that, and then he says, we're going to deport all Cocker Spaniels. You can't deport Cocker Spaniels. All right?
Bill, this was, and I mean this sincerely because you're amazing every week. My show's ratings prove it, but this was one of your best ever. Just outrageous. Folks, go by Confronting the Presidents. It's the best book you'll ever read, I promise you. Confronting the Presidents. Check Bill out at 9 p.m. tonight on WABC. And, of course, on this show every Thursday morning. Brilliance. I love you. Thank you.
All right, Sid. Thanks for having me in. Appreciate it.
You're the best. Bill O'Reilly, that was a spectacular. I got to tell you, all these guests today, all of them, seriously, starting at 6:45 with Kilmeade. Curtis blew the doors off today. We all thought Curtis would be celebrating, dancing. No. I'd rather have Adams and Jumaane Williams. Slow down. He was great. And then we had Frank Morano. He was terrific. And Bill O'Reilly just now with a grand slam home run. We got another 45 minutes to go. And I always told you this. Curtis Sliwa has been great with Eric Adams and the whole administration. But the guy right there with Curtis, right there, in fact, broke a couple of stories even before Curtis, if we're going to be honest. Former cop Sal Greco. Sal Greco is joining me next. He told me before 5 o'clock yesterday, Eric Adams indicted. This guy, he's got it all. Sal Greco coming up after Noam with the news. Come on.
Sid and Friends in the Morning. 77 WABC.
Where is the moment we need it the most? You kick up the leaves and the magic is lost. Tell me your blue skies fade to gray. Tell me your passion's gone away. And I don't need no carrying on. You stand in the line just to hit a new low. You're faking a smile with the coffee to go. And tell me your life's been way offline. You fall into pieces every time. And I don't need no carrying on. 'Cause you had a bad day.
Yeah, I would say it's a bad day for Eric Adams. This is my Casey Kasem long-distance dedication from Dougie Kilser here. He's right. Eric Adams had a bad day. My buddy Mark Oranger, Big Mark, said that they just saw somebody taken from Gracie Mansion in one of those jail cars. So, ain't Eric, but having a bad day, no doubt about it. We've covered this as well. You're not going to get better coverage. Let's be honest. Come on. Bill O'Reilly was amazing. Frank Morano was great. Curtis was the best. And Kilmeade and I still have Sal Greco coming up. And Sal has been at the forefront of all of this. He told me hours before even you knew, Noam. Even you knew.
That is right.
He told me that Eric Adams is about to be indicted. So he the man. So let's do this. Let's take a break. You got to do the New York Stock Exchange report. Maybe we'll get something from my friend Ernie Anastas. He's always very positive. It's a very negative day. Ernie will find something positive today. Something good.
So how about those indictments, Mayor Adams?
Not all that bad.
How about that?
Come on. Trump's been indicted 5 times. He's going to be the president. Come on.
Look, we still have 9 planets in the sun.
Yes.
Right there.
He'll figure it out.
Oh, good. Tell me how you feel today.
We'll do all that, and then we'll talk to Sal Greco. Oh, one funny bastard, Lou. You really are one funny son of a bitch.
Well, you need a blue sky holiday. The point is they laugh at what you say. And I don't need no carrying on. You had a bad day. You're taking one down. You sing a sad song just to turn it around. You say you don't know. You tell me don't lie. You work with a smile and you go for a ride. You had a bad day. The camera don't lie. You're coming back down and you really don't mind. You had a bad day.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning. Entertaining and informative.
You're my best friend.
77 WABC.
Guns N' Roses, Paradise City. I've got about 8 minutes here, but I got to talk to Sal Greco. Mark Gastineau, the former New York Jet great. I love Gastineau, the great number 99. Just texted me. He said, I'm so happy you stopped trying to do everything you could to help Eric. You did what you could do. That's why I know you're a good friend, your friend, Mark Gastineau. But Greco is right there with Curtis. I mean, he has, I'll be honest, he's actually been ahead of Curtis on some of these things. He texted me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday that Adams is about to be indicted at any moment. Sal, this is a former New York cop for 14 years. Loves Sal Greco, him and Roger Stone. He's not with the police now because they screwed him. But how do you know all this stuff, bro? How do you know?
Sid, thanks for having me on, and all I could say is I'm well informed, I guess.
God, but not just well informed, but, you know, Curtis always talks about 2-legged rats. He's got them everywhere, but you have as many rats, if not more, than Curtis. It's amazing what you know before everybody else does. So none of this surprised you. You knew all along that the banks, the Cabans, all these other people, it was all just to get to Eric. Now they got Eric. So who do you agree with? Curtis and Bill, who say that he gonna fight it and last it out, or Frank Morano, who seems to think the governor is going to replace him. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is actually it's a somber day for New York City because this is a first. But again, we've been discussing how Eric is a conflicted individual who loves to surround himself with corruptible people, hence the latest police commissioner. I love Curtis. I'm the biggest Curtis Sliwa for mayor guy. You know, that's who I want for mayor. But I agree with Frank Morano. Either way, whether he steps down, and I'm already hearing about resignations that are going to start to, come out as the hours proceed here.
And you've been right about every one of these resignations, every one.
Correct, and there are going to be resignations to follow. And also, this is a widespread net, Sid. It doesn't end just with Eric Adams. I believe you're going to see even more people, and it's just bigger than Eric Adams. He's just a fish in the pond.
Oh, wait a second. How do you get bigger than the mayor if it's not the governor? You mean just other fire department people? I mean, it's the mayor. It doesn't get bigger than that, does it?
Locally, maybe, but I'm talking about statewide.
Statewide.
It's a massive corruption scandal. You got to think back, Sid. And I'm not going to say too much about it, but you see that these people always hang out together. You saw Carl Hasty there. You saw Letitia James. You're talking about the restaurant, Con San Frito, right? Yeah, Con San Frito, but they also hung out in other places. You also know about this extortion racket that the Caban brothers were involved in. So there's other areas, Timmy Pearson, there's other areas where other people, we don't know exactly what the underlings exactly were doing. So we have Eric on this, and don't be surprised if there are other superseding indictments. Wow. And I would like to say one thing here. Sid.
Well, hold on. So you're talking about even all the way up to Albany.
Correct. There could be people that right now they're very nervous because their silence is deafening, Sid. Where is Carl Hasty on all of this? Where is Letitia James? Letitia James is the Attorney General. Why wasn't she informed about any of this? There's no state cooperation, Sid. I find that odd, very odd. But I wanted to say this because this is important for all these so-called MAGA Republican, let's say, politicians, city councilmen. I understand that there's a narrative. Eric Adams is, I guess, being targeted. He's trying to paint himself as Donald Trump. Let's be clear. Things could be political, but it doesn't mean that they didn't commit a crime. Eric Adams' crime is something that a lot of people have been indicted for in the past, and also very recently with Bob Menendez.
I'm glad you said this.
And Trump.
I'm glad you said this because I was on TV just last weekend with Kilmeade and Tommy, and I said this whole thing about Biden and Harris going after him, which everybody says it, is so overstated. The fact is, well, I shouldn't say that. Allegedly, there are no facts. The facts, according to you. Allegedly, this guy broke laws, right?
Exactly. And Sid, thank God you're the one guy who's screaming this. And I understand Curtis. He's being somber because, I understand where he's coming from. But Donald Trump, they used a law from the 1800s, a ridiculous law that was over 100 years ago to prosecute this man. That is political. They didn't use a law from 1800 for Eric Adams. And by the way, Eric Adams has not done anything for the migrant shelters. I know you have these people online that are trying to say, Sid, Tim Pearson was in charge of the contracts, another guy who's mired in controversy all over the place. It's actually disgraceful. This is not, if you want to say it's political, Sid, it doesn't mean he didn't commit a crime, and it's not at the level of Donald Trump, where they used a law from the 1800s to bring in. And also, Sid, these same Republicans, I don't want to make it about myself, but Joe Borelli, Vicky Palladino, certain people in our Republican club, where were they when Sal Greco was being persecuted? Sid, my father died right in front of me with Internal Affairs standing outside. They chased me around as if I committed the crime of the century. Just because what? I'm a Trump supporter. Where were the right-wingers for me, Sid? If there was no Steve Bannon, the only person I remember, we have you, God rest his soul, Bernard McGirt. We had Stone. We had Frank Morano. We had Dominic Carter. Who else? Curtis Sliwa. But where was Tucker Carlson? Who else? There was silence.
Yeah. Still is.
And now they're all running to Eric Adams' aid. I find that bizarre, Sid.
Well, it's not just bizarre. It's unfair to you. I mean, we know that they screwed you. We know that. But it's okay because you'll get the last laugh. And I bring you on. You're a big deal. People love you. So as far as you're concerned, and all these right now are just allegations. No one's read the indictment yet. But again, you've been all over this for a year. You've been telling me this was going to happen for a year. As far as you're concerned, Eric Adams is guilty of what crime or crimes?
The first thing I believe you're hearing is what we're all reading about. It's going to be the taking money as a foreign agent, or he's in office taking money from foreign entities. That is.
You said entity, so not just Turkey.
Yeah, no. You did read that there were 6 countries involved. And
correct.
I love how he did speak of Israel because, like Curtis said, he loves the checks, but he was very silent about Turkey and China. And remember, Sid, this actually started on a lawsuit from the fired FDNY chief. That's how this all started with the Turkish embassy. That's how they started looking into him in this regards with the foreign entities. Then we had, you're right. Remember, Sid, what I tell you about Ed Caban as the police commissioner goes to Qatar, and only people from the government can even go on official business there. We still don't know what that was about.
Well, they tried to tell us because Qatar has intelligence that can help the Israelis after October 7th.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. But that's another one. Said only people in the Biden administration can even go there. I mean, what is he, brokering a peace deal? What's up with that? He's the police commissioner.
6 countries, the police commissioners in Qatar. By the way, my dear friend Marty Feeney, a former cop who loves you, Sal. He owns Adrian's in not Breezy. What do you call that? What is that area there by right before you go to Howard Beach there, Lewis? I always forget the name of it. Anyway, he says, are you aware that the feds were at Eric Adams' house at 6:00 today serving a new warrant? I guess you knew that, Sal, right?
Yes. I saw that. I have videos. I got ears and eyes everywhere. Said, you know why? The people on the street, you know why they want to help me out? And because they saw what was done to me personally, that I was wrong. And that's why they know Eric Adams has a history. This goes back, Sid, he was the state senate. He was in the state senate. He was involved in the race casino scandal. Maserat got locked up for that.
Yeah.
Malcolm Smith, I believe, got locked up for that. Eric Adams should have been prosecuted, and they declined to prosecute him. And probably the only good thing Andrew Cuomo ever did for the state was that race casino ended up giving 70% of their profits to the state.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the deal they made.
That's right.
So Eric he's no stranger to any of this. It's just he's continued his behavior because he just is a conflicted individual. Let's face it. He goes to church. God ordained me to be the mayor and has his hand out. You know why, Sid? Unfortunately, he's trying to take advantage of the African-American seniors that go there because they believe in seeing the next Malcolm X, the next Martin Luther King. They were from that era. But all Eric Adams is a charlatan, unfortunately. I'm very sorry that this even occurred. I know you were, you tried to be his friend, and thankfully you backed away.
I did.
Brian Kilmeade today said he was going to try to text him. Actually, Brian, the feds took his phone. I think that's going to go anyway.
Well, do me a favor. I want to bring you back, even maybe this week again, like Friday, because tomorrow's Friday, if not Monday, the latest. I want to see what transpires today. I want to keep bringing you back because what you just said was great. He ain't no Malcolm X. He's a charlatan. So let's bring you back. You've been amazing. You were great today, Sal. I got to run because the show's about to end, but you'll be back in a day or two, I promise. Great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sid. And check me out, the Sal Greco Show on YouTube and Rumble.
YouTube and Rumble, the Sal Greco Show. This guy's great. Sal, I'm serious. If not tomorrow, Monday for sure, okay?
You got it. Anything for you. God bless you.
Keep up the great work. You keep up the great work. You're doing a great job. Broad Channel. Thank you, Lewis. That's Broad Channel. Take a short break. We'll come back. Today we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Day. We didn't do much about that this morning. But I got one guy who's the best one. I couldn't get Mariano Rivera. I couldn't get Alex Rodriguez. I got the best of them all. Who doesn't love Goya Foods? Bob is coming up next.
Living under the street of my heart, that's tough to beat. I'm your
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning. Entertaining and informative.
Oh, you're my best friend.
77 WABC.
Brian Ferry, love this song. Slave to Love. Roxy Music, happy 79th birthday to the great Brian Ferry. I got about 4 minutes to go. Hand it up to Brian Kilmeade. We are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Day today. Bobby Unenway is one of the greatest Hispanic people God ever created. I mean, I'm like, Goya Boots. I mean, come on. He's got a new book out, Blessed Donald J. Trump and the Spiritual War. He's on with me every year. I love this guy. Bob, happy Hispanic Heritage Day, buddy. How are you?
Sid, I love you. You're the best, and you're you're kicking it. You're in charge, man. You're wonderful.
Thank you, Bob. You always say that to me, and you know why I like when you say it, as others do, is because you're sincere. You're not blowing smoke up my way. You really mean that. So thank you for that. And I feel the same way about you. I mean, look at the stuff your company does. Besides the great food, everybody loves your food. Your food's great. You know, you worry about child trafficking. You worry about sex trafficking. You worry about the borders in this country. You've written a book about Donald Trump. You stand for so much more, Bob, than just great beans. How can I not love you, Bob? Come on.
There's not enough love out there. There's so many wonderful people. We're all born with a heart that's half light, half dark, half love, half hate. It's our original sin, but we got to move toward God. And during Hispanic Heritage Month, we're in a little bit of dark times. Not a little bit. We're in dark times. The United States is the largest consumer of child trafficking, of human trafficking. And, the Hispanic is the biggest victim. And this administration is not only inviting people to come into this country to be exploited and abused, we're importing them. I've heard of NGOs going to other countries, under HHS, Health and Human Services, the Office of Refugee Resettlement. We're bringing children into this country. Last year, they testified that the U.S. was the middleman. 85,000 children missing. That has changed. Now it's over 320,000 children.
Yes.
But women, listen to this, women are 70% of the victims, not just Latinos, women. And we have a woman that's in charge of this business. The business that the United States is involved in as a middleman, as Tara Rodas said, is hundreds of billions of dollar business. And the CEO of this is this administration, and led by Harris, a woman who wants to bring in these people to exploit them.
Yeah.
They're handed off to sponsors. They're sold. They're bought for pennies on the dollar in countries around the world, and they're sold here and to sponsors for sex, for slavery, for body parts, etc.
Yep.
But I have hope. Blessed, the book I have, the word blessed was put on my lips by the Holy Spirit. I was attacked. Our company was attacked. They didn't care about the thousands of people that work for us just because I used the word blessed, which was put on my lips by the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is in charge, thank God. The Holy Spirit has put his hand on Donald J. Trump. And
agreed.
As God has saved his life at 6:11 in the afternoon on July 13th, turned his head for a bullet that was going right for his head, and it turned at that moment. 6:11 is St. Paul to the Ephesians. Put on the armor of God against evil. And I tell you, Donald Trump has been chosen to bring this country. It's been said before in the 80s, believe it or not, the Herman of Loreto. Donald Trump has been chosen to bring this country closer to God. God has his hand on him, and that is my hope, that we can, move closer to God. This business is too big. There's so many wonderful organizations out there that are fighting this, but only securing the border with strength, with love, which, Donald Trump is out there protecting the women, the Hispanics, because we're the biggest victims.
Yep.
The women are the biggest victims.